Hello, a very good morning to you and welcome aboard to the AM show. My name is Teshie Apomaide. We have a packed program for you this morning. And so first we'll begin with the AM news. I'll bring you that and bringing you the major headlines and also the stories making news across Ghana and beyond. Then it's time for sports with all the latest results, developments and talking points from the world of sports. After that, we turn to our news review and of course our Matters Arising segment where we take a closer look at some of the issues dominating the public conversation. The first is a debate over presidential term limits. It's back in the spotlight with the NPP joining the Attorney General in seeking to consolidate 5 separate suits before the Supreme Court. Now, the move raises questions about the constitutional basis of presidential tenure and whether the current litigation could lead to a broader conversation on term limits. We'll have that conversation right here on our news review segment. We'll also examine what can best be described as almost religious tensions. That's following concerns over religious intolerance and inflammatory rhetoric. While the Inspector General of Police has convened religious leaders for dialogue in an effort to address concerns before they escalate. Is this the stage in time needed to preserve Ghana's tradition of religious tolerance? We pose that important questions to our guests this morning. And then the government's takeover of operations at Adamus Resources following the revocation of its mining leases continues to generate some debate. So while the government has cited breaches as the basis for its action, the development raises questions about regulation, accountability, state intervention, and also the space for private investment in Ghana's mining sector. So let me tell you who'll be joining us for our news review today. The first is Afe Omoni. He's former president of the Ghana Journalists Association. We'll also have Kwesi Botre Jr. He's lawyer and member of the NPP communications team. We'll also be joined by Julius Kwame Anthony. He's press secretary, Ministry for the Interior, and also Lom Nuku Ahlija. He's lawyer, lecturer, and energy analyst. And after the news review, we bring you a special Joy News feature, Fighting Fires, Fighting for Breath. Ghana's firefighters run towards danger when everyone else runs away. But really, behind that bravery is a hidden health cost. Years of exposure to thick, toxic smoke, often without adequate protective equipment or regular access to health care. And after that important Joy News feature, we round off the show with Trends. Yes, my favorite part of the show, where we bring you the conversations, the reactions, and the issues getting people talking. So please stay with us. Welcome aboard to the AM show. My name is Teshie Apomaide. Up next is the news. Welcome back. This is AM News. Now, 2 people have died and 5 others sustained injuries in a head-on collision between a Toyota Sienta and a Metro Mass Transit bus on the Asimfosu Road in the Central Region. The crash occurred around 7 p.m. Sunday, with the injured rushed to hospital for treatment. Here's Metro Mass Transit bus driver William Abwaji recounting the incident.
Mr. Teshie, we call we need the reform man. We call Mankesi. Yanga car because I work it. The museum Mankesi we are not. Yeah, do higher. Come, we say carry branch to talk. That carry business. You wanna can do it. You need to do what like that. Okay.
Wow.
It's
they were Santa no year overtaking. Wabra na ka bi di nanim man. Okay, so who can na nipa send the woman be a prepare.
Nipa no this is who conduct the machine and the editor.
Okay. Okay. But na yema.
If you have 2 seats maybe.
Okay.
Passenger and cargo.
The Central North MTTD commander ASP Wanda Lumo, who was at the scene, confirmed the crash and said investigations have commenced.
From information gathered so far, the metro bus was coming from the country direction, whilst the Sienta was also coming from Cape Coast direction towards the Then here, the metro bus driver alleged that there was lead overtaking and enter his road resulting in the accident. We cannot conclude now. There is we went to the hospital and 2 people have passed and 2 people have died.
Confirmed.
Okay. Of the center and 1 passenger has died. There are other 2 passengers. One is on oxygen, and 1 he also had a deep cut on the head. There were 3 children who were part of it.
Now, back here in Accra, an overheated power bank left charging is suspected to have caused a fire in a chamber and a hall of a 4-story building at Accra Newtown. Now, the fire broke out at around 12:30 p.m., prompting a swift response from the Ghana National Fire Service, which brought the blaze under control. No casualties were recorded. According to the building's caretaker, Sharif Dean, preliminary information indicates that the power bank overheated while charging and ignited materials in the room.
The incident happened at a 4-story building apartment, and where specifically the incident happened, the fire accident happened, was a chamber and hall. And during the time that we got here, there wasn't any presence of the Ghana Fire Service, but the information that we've received is that the fire service already responded to the distress call and have been able to douse the fire completely and have moved out of sight. What we have heard from here suggests that the building behind me, which is a 4-story building, had a particular chamber and hall where a power bank was on charge, and as and when the power bank got heated, it caught fire. I have the caretaker of the building here that we will be engaging to give us more details of the incident and what really transpired here.
We were just there, then I think the eyewitness just called us that there is a smoke coming out from one of the rooms in our house. So I quickly rushed and come and survey what happened. So when we got here, I think the fire started exploding. So after when we called the fire service people to come, they quickly also came and they were able to quench the fire down. So from the investigation that we also had when we were able to enter into the room, we realized it was a power bank. That the owner, the one who is occupying the room, he plugged power bank to his phone and kept it on the bed. He went out. So I think the heat, so that got the power bank explode and the fire were able to burn the bed because he put the power bank on the bed. And you know, for bed to is a foam. So whenever a little bit of fire outbursts the bed, it will explode. So that's what happened.
Was anyone inside? Did you record any casualties?
There's nobody inside, but I think we got some certain things got damaged.
Now, still here in Accra, residents of Teshie telephone pole area are living through a prolonged water crisis, with some households going for months without a reliable supply. They say the situation has disrupted basic routines, while the few hours of supply they occasionally receive offer little relief because of the low pressure. Some residents say they have been forced to rely on seawater for bathing as they struggle to cope with the shortage that has made access to water a daily battle. My colleague Evelyn Ampa visited the area and has come through with the following report.
Imagine turning on your tap, hoping for water, only to see nothing. Here at Teshie telephone pole area, residents say that silence can stretch for 1, sometimes even 2 months. And when the water finally comes, it is only for a few hours with barely enough pressure to fill a container. This is the reality of a water crisis that residents say has turned an everyday necessity into a daily life struggle. The problem for residents here is not only how long they go without water, but also how little time they have to get it when the supply finally comes.
In time now, we've not been getting water. What they do is they open, I think, Wednesdays into Thursday. But then we don't get it's not able to go into our tanks. So it means that should you sleep and then you are not able to wake up early to meet the time is opened, you wouldn't have water.
Then again, what flows from the taps is sometimes unclean, often looking muddy or milkish.
Sometimes the water is even dirty. You can't use it.
With the taps unreliable, residents have had to look for other sources, mainly depend on water tankers, but the cost is becoming difficult to keep up with.
Tankers normally buy 1,000 cedi and normally bray.
The tankers charge 1,000 cedis for a tank. What work do we do that every 2 weeks we have to buy water for 1,000 cedis? There's no money to keep buying it.
See, water is life, but
and for those who cannot afford a tanker, buying water in smaller quantities is another option. Some pay as much as 5 cedis for a single gallon.
Some places, if you go to fill a gallon this size, it costs 5 cedis for one. Imagine you have about 10 people at home. How will you manage with 1 gallon?
Some have also turned to boreholes, but that too comes with a problem. The water is salty because the community is close to the sea and has to be treated before use.
Some of us have resorted to borehole because the tanker is expensive. That's about 1,000 cedis for every trip. So we've dug a borehole, but unfortunately it was salty. So we have to, yes, because we are closer to the sea, and then we would have to treat it before we use. Yeah.
For James Appiah, he turns to the sea to bathe, but because seawater does not lather easily with bathing soap, he has to use a detergent instead.
The water crisis can be so severe that sometimes we do not even get water to bathe. We use detergents when we have to bathe with seawater because the bathing soap does not lather.
Teshie asam na make o Teshie demo. Now they are is what him say. So na ahuru na timaba.
If not, you would have to use sachet water.
I saw also a pure water. It means I'm the remember boy a day 2 months.
I've been using this same water to wash the shoes I sell for about 2 months now.
The baby and kakra. And so I did 2 months. What if any? I did 2 months. My banam the horan kakra. Intimia if you need that see my sonic sono. Now if you know I am na clean water no. Na masandi aye kakra.
The residents' cries to authorities, particularly the Member of Parliament for the area, have so far not yielded any results.
We have informed the NP and the MC and even visited the MP's office 2 or 3 times. He says he will come and see the situation for himself, but up to now, he hasn't come.
For now, residents' alternatives to hygienic supply of water have elapsed. All they want is a proper solution to the problem that has gone on for far too long. For Joy News, Evelyn Ampa, Teshie Telephone Pole, Accra.
Let me take you to the Upper West region. He ditched the white for a colorful smoke. He cracked jokes instead of giving orders. It was a referendum on his leadership after the 2024 defeat. But when 259 delegates voted, Abdul Rahman Abdulaziz, popularly known as Chairman White, still came out on top. He defeated his challenger Alaska B Canton by 173 votes to 86. Joy News' Upper West regional correspondent was at the NPP Upper West regional elections and reports.
The new Patriotic Party NPP in the Upper West region has voted to stick with its old guard, retaining regional chairman Abdul Rahman Abdulaziz, popularly known as Chairman White, after a tense but largely peaceful internal election. 259 delegates and 28 aspirants turned up for the regional executive elections, with 11 positions up for grabs. The contest was widely seen as a referendum on the leadership of Chairman White, who took over the affairs of the party in June 2024, following the death of substantive chairman S.B. Kangbaraya. His team came under intense criticism of the NPP's heavy defeat to the National Democratic Congress (NDC) in the 2024 general elections. But on Saturday, delegates chose continuity over change. Body language analysis went into overdrive. Chairman White arrived at the election center not in his usual white apparel, but in a colorful smock. Accompanied by the regional youth organizer Mohammed Hamid Sana, who was contesting for the regional organizer position, he moved through the hall, cracking jokes and exchanging pleasantries, even with opponents like Wantina Bamutu, who was vying for second vice chairman. His main challenger, Alaska B Canton, however, maintained a forward gaze and kept his distance. Voting went on peacefully for about 2 hours until drama erupted. A group claiming to be majority executive members from the Nandom constituency stormed the voting hall, raising issues about the eligibility of some delegates.
What is ongoing, and we're going to hold them. But if and only if they prevent us, we shall not retreat. But if the gods and the God that we all serve is working, we will know that at the end of the day, justice will deliver it.
It took the swift intervention of 70 police officers deployed for the election to restore order. The group later held a press conference to voice their concerns, but it did not derail the process. When the votes were counted, Chairman Abdul Rahman Abdulaziz was retained.
Are you happy that you have won?
No, I know. Even yesterday, I know that I won.
So too were most members of his team.
I'm happy.
Are you surprised about results?
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. No, I know I will win.
The women's race delivered the biggest upset. Minata Mumuni defeated her former boss, Nancy Adeti, by 139 votes to 116 votes. The two had tied in a previous election years ago, after which regional executives gave the position to Nancy Adeti. Their relationship soured afterward, especially after the party lost power. Saturday's results was payback for Minata. Dodo Yusuf Sadat was also third-time lucky, finally winning the regional youth organizer position after losing twice before.
I'm one privileged young man who have very in-depth knowledge about the youthful environment of the party. I look to creating a very big platform for every young man within the party to stand on, for us to soldier together and build this party to be a very strong and formidable party, very attractive a party that every young man or woman will want to choose us over the NDC in the region.
There were wins too for Dr. Tanko Dauda as secretary, Alasan Suleiman as treasurer, and Mohammed Hamid Sana as regional organizer. Ali Bukari's ambition to return to the office of regional communications was flamed out by old foe Ahmed Danda Sadat, who was also retained. The winners were sworn into office immediately after the results were declared by the Deputy Upper West Regional Director of the EC, Enoch Danso Ajakum. The swearing-in was conducted by the NPP's Director of IT, Eric Nana Amankwa. In his address, warned the governing NDC that the NPP was regrouping and ready to wrestle power from them in the 2028 polls.
These new elected officers, I know and I believe that we are all of us, together with our leader, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, will work tirelessly to ensure that victory shall be ours in 2028.
Chairman White, addressing party faithful seated on his car, he urged them to hold the jubilation because it was an internal election which the party has won, adding that the real jubilation will come in 2028 when the NPP wrestle power from the NDC. There was, however, no space for consensual speeches as all the vanquished left the voting hall before the declaration of the results. An election filled with tension has now simmered down. With the internal contest over, the Upper West NPP says its eyes are now firmly fixed on the NDC. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam.
Let's do some business. Now, the Commission for Technical and Vocational Education Training, TVET, has reaffirmed its commitment to supporting private TVET institutions to expand skills development and create more employment opportunities for young people. Deputy Director General in charge of corporate services at the TVET, Abdulrahman Zakaria, said the Commission is committed to strengthening the private TVET sector to improve skills training and equip young people with the practical competencies required by the industry.
The exhibition, held under the theme Creative Mind, Sustainable Solutions, showcasing innovative school projects and artistic expressions that address today's challenges and inspire tomorrow's solutions, provided students of DTI with a platform to demonstrate their practical skills and innovative solutions.
First of all, you have to let industry tell you, this is what I need. After telling you, then they come on board in the development of their curricula, such that by the time you finish training the person goes there and is able to fit into industry, and then at the end of the day, will be able to make a meaningful life for himself. And I'm particularly impressed about what I've seen because for these students, they have three choices. The first choice, after they've gone to industry for 6 months, I'm told from here they will go to industry for 6 months.
Students from DTI presented their various projects to visitors, judges, and other stakeholders, explaining the ideas behind their innovations and how their work could address real-world challenges.
I was the lead presenter for the Teshie designs. It was a great experience, you know, as students to embark on this agenda that DTI has given us. It was tough because then our judges opened us up to more dimensions of more aspects of things we have to do, and it has been just transformative. And the ideas, the production, the thinking that went into it was amazing. The design was centered on our environment. DTI is a green school. We like to have things natural. We like to have our brand works natural, and it was a nice way of exploring our graphic design skill beyond.
A member of the judging team commended the student for their creativity and practical approach, stressing the importance of exposing TVET students to opportunities where they can apply classroom knowledge to real-world challenges.
Today, we're judging the multimedia department, and specifically one team that we handled was trying to solve a problem of creating unique textile design for the DTI class. And I must say that the students were quite impressive. For a graphic design department student, venturing into textile design is something that you don't often see.
We accept these people, take them through the welding and fabrication whole department, what they need to know to be useful in the welding and fabrication industry. So from
0 to wherever they are able to get to at whatever point. Now, with the exhibition going on today, what we do is we task students to go out there, find problems out in the environment, right?
The exhibition brought together TVET officials, DTI students, judges, industry partners, and other stakeholders to promote innovation, entrepreneurship, and practical skills development.
Oh, that's it for AM Business. That's it for AM News as well. Don't forget that for more news, I know a place I highly recommend you log on to myjonline.com. My name is Teshie Apomaje. Up next is sports. A while later, we'll have a news review. Have a very lovely Monday.
With a coach extraordinaire like myself, who needs Pep Guardiola? Someone who's on retirement, who needs a Mourinho? Volta, do we need any of those people? Thank you. So you have me.
We believe we have the man, like MVP will say. We have the man. We're going to conquer.
We have the man.
They should watch out for us. Our team, we are well prepared. We are more ready, and we want to come and conquer the event. Bring the trophy back home to Best Education Services.
We are coming with fire. Yeah, our football team is not here at the moment. They are currently in France.
We are leaving now to Bernabeu. Jose Mourinho wants to train with us for 5 days. He wants us to train with Mbappe's and the Vinicius Juniors and the Bellinghams.
They are training with who?
Zidane. We didn't come to play at all.
We are fully prepared. Yes. Our tactics are intact, backed by facts and data. In fact, military, police, we want you. Be careful.
A combination of Mikel Arteta's strategy, combination of Pep Guardiola, every strategy that matters, but we will not disclose it yet.
The tennis. You know Djokovic? Yes. He's the one training our men.
You expect the heat now.
Let's do sports now on the AM show. My name is Haruna Mubarak, and we continue to get closer to the much anticipated Joy Sports Invitational Tournament, which kicks off on the 29th of August as corporate bodies battle for glory. All sales services say they are ready to make a mark, while La Community Bank remain determined to lead by example with their performance.
He was in Ghana. He was in Ghana. He was in Liberia. He was in Liberia. He was in Sierra Leone. He was in Sierra Leone. He was in Gambia. He was in what he was.
And if you don't know what Allsale has done, for more than 2 decades, they provided banking services, provided technology for mining sector, for manufacturers, and ensure that cash continue to flow across the length and breadth of Africa. That is what Allsale has done, and that's what they continue to do. As an institution dedicated to ensuring that your bank is secure with their secured services, as an institution that ensures that your mining sector, your manufacturing company is safe, Allsale Services is one of a kind of a company, and they are the only institution you need to get in touch with for whatever you need. They are focused, they have integrity, and they persevere. Sharif, you see your ladies and gentlemen dancing and shouting this morning. Are you in the mood?
Yes, we are. We are ready. Yes, we are.
Did you get experience from last year's event?
Yes, that was our maiden one. I think also really performed. Managing director did so well, Nana Kanto. And then this year we are ready. You know, the football, we got to the quarterfinals. And then we were eliminated through a penalty shootout.
You could have also won by the penalty shootout. What happened?
yes. So now we've really trained for this year, and then we are ready. So expect something big from Allsale this year.
Some companies are camping in Madrid, others are camping in France, some are camping in Liverpool. Where are you camping your team?
We are the Emirates. That's the champions. That's the champions. So we are training with Arsenal.
Ateta.
Yes.
Has Ateta invited you over?
Yes, I'm the Ateta now. I'm the Ateta. So we hope to lift the trophy this year. I mean, quarterfinals last year wasn't bad. So this year we are winning.
And now talk to me about Allsale Services. What sort of institution are you? What do you represent?
Okay, so Allsale Services Limited is a banking solution provider. Okay, we've been in the system for about 2 decades now. We have about 65% of the market share when it comes to money counting machines, the sorters, and then all the equipment, all banking equipment. So that's what we do now.
And you've been doing it. I was going through. You have about 3,000 customers, and you serve about 45 plus banks and all that. What makes the machines you render one of a kind?
Okay, so also we take what we do seriously. So we have an R&D department who really studies the industry and then acts upon the information that we get, okay, so that we can really provide what the customers need. That's our thing.
If you're a bank and you don't know of Allsale Services, that you don't exist in Ghana.
You don't.
Why are they? And now what you go? So Allsale Services, get in touch with them for all your banking services, and they will provide you the solutions that you need to be a competitor within the financial sector. Work here, they're just at Carnation First traffic light, and engage their team. Whatever you need, the solution is right here. Also, see them at the University of Ghana Stadium on August 29 for the Joy Sports Invitational Tournament. It's another Joy Sports Invitational Tournament. Today we find ourselves in the presence of LAC Community Bank, an institution that was part of the last edition in 2025, and they are back for the 2026 edition. Haven't acquired so much experience from participating in the tournament. They are here hoping to do better than they did last year. As you can see right behind me, they are gearing up for the Joy Sports Invitational Tournament. We'll be hearing from them pretty soon what they've been doing ahead of the competition at the University of Ghana Stadium. This energy shows that you don't have any challenger.
No challenger.
Yeah, when it comes to community banking, there's no challenger. So, indeed, the boss himself is here. I noticed that the moment he showed that people had energy. Yes. So he brought the energy. Yes. Mr. Van der Poel, how are you?
I'm good.
You're good?
It's a second edition.
Yes.
We told you we'll come.
Yes.
We tried it. We loved it. It opened doors for us, and we are here for the second time. For this year, we want to have a good time, and we want to do business whilst having a good time. For the sports, it's a done deal. We won't tell you what we are going to do, but there is a reform in our sector by Bank of Ghana. And unfortunately, that reform, we started it. We are the first community bank in Ghana. So it's either you are number one or you are nothing. They don't, apart from me who has gray hair, they are all young.
Young team? Are you winning the zero penalty?
Last year, we didn't prepare. I mean, I didn't know we were going to do small polls. I thought we were going to have a keeper in the post. So we can be the goalkeeper. Unfortunately, now we know what you are going to do. So watch out. I cannot lose in front of. If I lose, they lose. So I need to set example. Leadership by example. And that's what we're going to do.
That's what La Community Bank is going to do. Leadership by example. They've led when it comes to community banking for nearly 40 years. As you mentioned, there will be 40 next year. And there isn't any community bank to do business with than La Community Bank. They are in the heart of the community. Come there, do business with them, and they will transform your life. Also be at the University of Ghana Stadium on August 29 for the Joy Sports Invitational Tournament and see what the leaders in the community banking sector can do. See you there on August 29. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Away from the Joy Sports Invitational, now Ghanaian boxer John Lai was disqualified in his WBA featherweight title eliminator against Argentina's Maximiliano Robledo. Lai was knocked down in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds before he was eventually disqualified in the 9th round for resorting to low blows. The defeat was Lai's first loss in 18 fights.
Shouting for Maxi. Who isn't to blame for what he's had to deal with? He has to overcome it.
It's a different kind of adversity.
Robledo must watch out for the Ghanaian's headbutts. For the injury, not for his boxing skills. He caught him with the left. He was almost knocked into the ropes. Reckless boxer. But hey, a sore loser. He's having spasms in the corner. They can't stop him. And there was the victim of Robledo, the victim of the whole night. He sought the disqualification. It was dirty blows, disgraced boxing. And it's a shame he didn't lose by. He had a great partner. The referee, a great partner. At the moment of the disqualification, however, he kept on doing his thing in the ring. He didn't want to box. All he wanted was to commit some foul because he was overwhelmed by a clearly superior opponent. Look at what he was doing. He leaned against the ropes. Very good. Hitting below the belt line. The Argentine was at risk. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have with us in the ring to crown the winner of the bout, Mr. Lautaro Moreno, WBA supervisor. 2 minutes and 36 seconds of the 9th round, the referee of the bout, Mr. Jan Guzman, disqualified the African boxer Maxer. Winner by disqualification from Trelu Chubat, Argentina, Max.
Now, Ghana's Black Princesses and their technical handlers have departed Accra for Poland ahead of the 2026 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup. The team concluded their preparations at the Ghanaman Soccer Center of Excellence in Pram last Friday. My colleague Teshie met the team before they jetted off and filed this report.
Ghana's Women's Under-20 team, the Black Princesses, have intensified preparations with a friendly game against Amili this year at the Ghanaman Soccer Center of Excellence in Pram. They won by 5-1, and the team is looking good and ready for the World Cup in Poland.
Speaking to Joy Sports, head coach Charles Sampson provided an update on team's preparation so far.
I would say this time around we were able to bring in some new faces in the beginning. That is what we wanted to see, what we can add up to the squad. We did, and then they brought in quality, so it made the preparation even more exciting. So we are in a good place.
Sampson also opened up about how injuries have disrupted camp.
Yes, that has been the difficult part of us in the qualifiers. We lost almost 3 goalkeepers through injury, and all of them almost were number 1 goalkeepers, so we had to struggle a little bit. So this camp, we actually scouted and brought in 8 goalkeepers in camp in the beginning. So out of the 8, now we are almost on the 4th, and maybe get the 3 that are going to represent us. So we are in a good place on that one.
The Black Princesses have had long-standing issues with per diems and bonuses. Preparations for this tournament have been no different.
Been with the girls throughout the qualifiers, have seen their efforts and what we went through with South Africa and also with Uganda. So coming to this particular camp, all of us, all the girls actually, were expecting to have their bonuses even before we travel. As we speak right now, we may be traveling within some days. They haven't got it. They even had some meeting and called me in and asked me. And those things are difficult for me because I don't know what to say. I don't have answers. I don't know where it's coming from. We've always been supported. Our preparation, amazing. FA is supporting us how we should. What we need, we get it. But the bonus aspect and the payment aspect, I do my best with the staff to motivate the girls as much as we can. But those are the parts that we cannot influence so much. So there I wish and I hope that it can be resolved as soon as possible before we leave to Poland.
Samson's sentiments were reiterated by forward Ivy Oseusu.
Not only the bonuses, we are hoping for a South African per diem and the bonuses. This is not stopping us from playing, but I think it's a little destructive and we have to get it as we deserve. So now we are hoping that the responsible people take responsibility and give us the money because we need some things and it boosts our play and anything boost our play. We deserve it and it's part of motivation and all that. So I think we are hoping to get those money.
The Black Princesses have been drawn in Group B alongside France, South Korea and Ecuador. Reporting for Joy Sports, Teshie, Pram.
Now, Cameroon cruised to a 3-0 victory over tournament debutants Malawi to claim their first ever Women's Africa Cup of Nations title. Mari Ngamanga, she scored twice, while Naomi Eto'o added the other as the indomitable Lionesses secured their historic triumph in Rabat. Highlights for you.
Down the right side as Eto'o once again trying to push herself away from a defender. Little bit of space, the ball comes right across, it's a header! Oh, it's gone off the crossbar, it's gone in, and it has been scored. Cameroon get their goal. It is Ngamanga who offers Cameroon the lead. Another goal from their lead scorer. Corner coming in. It's there. It's a goal. It's the second goal for Cameroon. Look at that for a strike. Top quality. quality indeed. Naomi Eto'o with the spinning volley that flies into the corner. They got an option here. There's Naomi Eto'o. Naomi Eto'o, the goalkeeper's coming back. She's gone past it. Eto'o trying to get the ball over. It's headed in. What a fabulous header that is. And they've scored a third goal. Sensational. That really is. You don't get better than that. Marion Gamanga scoring her second here in this final to make it 3-0 right at the end of the first half.
Now, in England, Arsenal delivered a statement performance by thrashing Manchester City by 3-0 to claim the Community Shield title. Let's check out the highlights. Before we go, Adum Brands of the Multimedia Group wishes to express its gratitude to all sponsors and patrons who joined the Nkwehia Fit and Free Health Walk, which was held over the weekend. For those who missed the maiden edition, here are some sights and sounds from the event. And definitely you do not want to miss out on subsequent editions. That's how we wrap up the sports segment on the AM show. My name is Haruna Mubarak. The newspaper review segment continues right after this. Please stay.
Through every stage of life, some things simply stay with us. The spirit of never giving up. A throwback to a bygone era. Love was service. The silent statement of love. A forceful gesture that deepens bonds, balancing work and life. Every drop refreshes, every sip hydrates, just as it should. I am awake, one for life. Drink water, drink awake. Supporting the National Cardiothoracic Center. This advert
Is your tech holding you back? Feeling lost in the maze of outdated gadgets? Relax. Come with me to Country Garden.
Magic. Now I've been international fashion designer. No more pencil than talk matter beer. Coffee Ghana. Class in boy.
Oh, number one.
Ghana, we don't just sell electronics, we transform your life. From office to home appliances and more, we have everything you need to step into the future.
Country Ghana, class in Kwa. Country Ghana, number one.
Hey buddy, it's me Azar.
Yeah, me now they see. Hey, you look fresh.
Wait till you see what's inside me. Azar, freshly made inside and out for greater coverage and colors that last longer and beautify your walls, spaces and places. Azar, no size. Go ahead, buy now. Azar, number one from Azar Group since 1921.
It's admission time for the 2026-27 academic year, and St. Andrew's Group of Schools is calling on all GHS graduates and those who want to rewrite their WASCE exam. Over the years, St. Andrew's Group of Schools has been the #1 best private school in Ghana with excellent teaching staff and ultra-modern facilities that provide students with perfect environments for study. Wherever you are, there's a campus waiting for you. Choose your preferred school from the list and start your journey to success today. We are also open for SHS students who wish to change their school. Here at St. Andrew's Group of Schools, students never fail. St. Andrew's Group of Schools has been absorbed into the free SHS program, offering quality education with free tuition. At St. Andrew's Group of Schools, we say perseverance leads to success.
This August, the Super Morning Show is done pretending. Sustainability isn't just tree planting, it's whether the systems we depend on actually last. Lights that stay on, water that reaches the bucket, food that nourishes people instead of rotting away, roads that take us home instead of taking our lives. When things keep failing, that's a sustainability crisis. So this month, we're asking why. Why land guards still run our neighborhoods? Why food rots in bins while our neighbors sleep hungry? Why the road that killed your cousin still has no signage? Why half the water you pay for never reaches your bucket? Uncomfortable? Good. That's the point. Stay tuned to the Super Morning Show throughout August for Joy Sustainability Month. Sponsored by MTN and Momo.
Hi, now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park.
Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park.
Our electric shuttle pulled up and in no time our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the Eco Park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown cranes, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults, this price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It has been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
Finding my dream apartment in just 2 days was a breeze with 7terragh.com. Looking for your next home, the perfect piece of land, or the best commercial property for your business? Are you worried about sending money home for property and finding nothing when you return? Well, worry no more. 7terragh.com is just a platform to find prime lands, perfect properties, or vibrant real estate development at the click of a button. 7terragh.com is your go-to property listing platform that allows you to register, list, rent, buy or sell, and connect with correct agents. With our AI-powered smart search, personalized dashboards, verified agent connection, and interactive property maps, all your property needs have been made easier. Check us out on 7terragh.com or contact us on 0302-998-246 or 0561 032 252. 7terragh.com, powered by MNC Properties.
Hello, my name is Pamela from Customer Service. Please revalidate your account by texting your Ghana card number to 0500,000 247.
Hey, Abili, wabidim.
Madam, give me the numbers behind your ATM card. I'm calling from the head office.
An email was delivered across to our customers this morning.
Confirm if this is your bank account. 100,100,100.
Thanks for sending your bank card details.
Send the OTP now to avoid cancellation.
EcoBank will never call, email, send an SMS asking for your PIN, OTP, bank card, or Ghana card details.
Don't get played. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Hello, please, I'm calling from Customer Experience Center.
Gold, bauxite, manganese, lithium, Ghana's minerals, and billions, and now anchor our national reserves. But in the communities that host the mines, the question is simple: what stays here? On the 18th of August 2026, that question gets answered in public. Here in the catchment communities, this is what's really at stake: jobs, local content, corporate social responsibility. People here want a fair share of what's mined on their land. And in the room, the conversation will be about what the large-scale mining companies are doing to better livelihoods in their catchment areas, and also the gold board reforms in the artisanal and small-scale mining sector. And finally, the signing of the catchment charter, which will put all these commitments into writing. The National Mining Dialogue 2026, rethinking the social license to operate. Regulators, large-scale mining companies, small-scale mining companies, gold buyers, traditional leaders, and host communities, all at one table. Live from Kempiski Hotel, Accra, on Joy News, Adum TV, and Asempa FM, and all our social media handles. Chairperson for the event, Gamanche, His Royal Majesty, King Takite Kuchu II. Special guest of honor, Dr. Julius Debra, Chief of Staff to the President of the Republic of Ghana. Special guests, the Honorable Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources and Member of Parliament, Elembele constituency. The National Mining Dialogue will be held on the 18th of August 2026, 12 p.m. The National Mining Dialogue is powered by Ekusi on Asempa FM in collaboration with Semis DS Group Limited, partners, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the Minerals Commission, the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, and the Ghana Gold Board.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's a good Monday. Feels like it's going to be a good week. So thank you very much. Let's start with the news review. Let's just run quickly with the headlines on the newspapers. I shall tell you my guest, but quickly, let me tell you how the weather is looking today. So that's the weather. You're welcome. This morning, joining us is Afel Moni, his former president, Ghana Journalists Association. We would also be joined a little later by Kwesi Boche Jr., lawyer and member of the NPP communications team. Currently, we are joined also by Julius Kwame Anthony, Press Secretary, Ministry for the Interior. Lomnuko Ahlija is lawyer, lecturer, and energy expert. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us in studio. Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, yes. I had a very good weekend.
Okay, you have had a very eventful weekend. Okay, let's quickly tell them what's in front of the newspapers, then we shall get straight into the matters. I'm starting with the Ghanaian publisher this morning. The big story: Coca set sight on 2028 after decisive victory. Story is on page 4 of the Ghanaian publisher. Impetuous Zeta challenged to produce evidence of 8,160 pounds payments. I'm sure it's about the scholarship secretariat and the matters arising. Story is on page 3 of the Ghanaian publisher. Swalopon Kromas UCJ and Attorney General of a vacation trial. Story is on page 2 of the Ghanaian publisher. And big question, Nano Domprez is asking President Mahama, why are Galamseyers operating with impunity? Story is on page 3 of the Ghanaian publisher. And Ibuakwa Traditional Council fumes at Chimansa DC apologize or face our wrath. Story is on page 2 of the Ghanaian publisher. Okay, Julius, what do you have in front of your papers?
Well, MPP regional executive election. Abronia retains Bono. Coca sweeps Ashanti. You know, it's an interesting one for me because my friend Yadom Boache, who was NUC's president when I was NUC's general secretary, contested for the youth organizer. Unfortunately, he couldn't make his Boache. Better luck next time.
Is there a genuine better luck next time?
Oh yes, Okay. You know, he was my boss at NUC's.
Okay.
My friend. So
okay, then real better luck next time. Okay, you know. Okay.
And then we have. He said NDC is coming Ghanaian youth with fake job. I don't think that is true.
Just read the headlines. Some of them are poking you.
Samia Uku denies Yoko arrest. That's on page 2 of the Daily Gist. And then next I have with me the Daily Searchlight. Duncan William wades into minority. Sami Jemfi standoff. That's the whole issue about Gold Board.
Yeah.
And then next I have Baumia presidency, my next target, newly elected Greater Accra Regional Minister, Dr. Okoboy, a fine man. Samia Uku denies Yoko arrest, claims he appears in Kumasi. That's on page 9 of the Daily Searchlight. And then MPP conducts election for national executive officers on October the 3rd. That was also on page 9 of the Daily Searchlight. We have think this one is kind of bled.
It's bled. Don't worry about it if it's not too bled. Okay. Mr. Money, you have the insight.
The insight, Dominic Ayini says, National Cathedral funds could have completed Agenda 111 hospitals. Imani condemns Adamus mining lease revocation. And that's quoting Franklin Kojo. Youngest black Cambridge professor found dead after allegations of plagiarism. The story is found on page 2. Health Ministry begins review of Mahama's key healthcare promises. Netanyahu rejects Trump's 15-point plan for post-war Gaza. Business and Financial Times. Chinese vehicles gain ground as imports climb to 22.1% of market share. Government targets illegal businesses around grid coal transmission lines, gives 1 month ultimatum to evacuate. Boost productive sector lending. That's coming from Bank of Ghana. And nearly half of SDIs are insolvent. IMF pushes sector cleanup. Business and Financial Times.
Thank you so much, Mr. Money. Lom, what do you have?
So I have the Custodian and then also the Daily Guide. So the Custodian has Baumia salutes new NPP regional executives and calls for unity ahead of 2028. So that story is on page 7 of the Custodian. And Okoboy secures decisive victory, which is on page 2. And of course, the story that is trending on almost all the papers, Asante Mankoka wins landslide. Pledges inclusive leadership in Ashanti region MPP. There's also Galamsey's catastrophic under NDC are not done prayer, page 2. And then agriculture growth slows to 3.6 in May, which is further on page 6 of the Custodian. In the Daily Guide, we have MPP elect new regional bosses and Baumia calls for unity. And that story is on page 3 with further details. It also has Samia Uku denies Ioko arrest with further details on page 6. And then also British Ghanaian Cambridge professor found dead. That's in relation to the Professor Jason Adeti story, which is found on page 6. And lastly, Franklin Kojo says accusations against Adamus are false, with further details on page 6.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, for Home Ministry to accept the Minerals Commission inquiry and then accept to want to revoke it, that's a very bold one.
Very bold.
But it's part of our discussion today. But let's talk about the unfortunate incident with Jason Adeti. His family really describes his death as, they describe the situation as a campaign of misinformation that was too much for this gentleman. The family describes him as a gentleman. And in my little reading, I also found that he apparently was on a spectrum, autism disorder spectrum. And then in one of his responses to some of the scrutiny, he sought to want to highlight that maybe because he was autistic. And so this brings to the table a lot of questions. Let me start with you, Mr. Money, on this particular matter. How are you feeling about this whole conversation, his death, his resignation, and the matters arising?
First of all, the issue is under investigation. And the UK investigative authorities are yet to come out with any conclusive evidence of how Professor Adeti died. It's unfortunate that he closed his innings at a relatively young age, 41. This reminds that life is short. It is said that when life and death is certain, but when, how, and when, how is uncertain.
Yeah.
It's again highly unfortunate that this young man will die under such mysterious circumstances. At 41, he certainly had a lot to offer. Intellectual knowledge, intellectual power to benefit the younger generation. And he's found himself on the other side of life. We'll pray that the family will be comforted. Our God of all comforts, the Father of all mercies, should have mercy on the family. And Lord, you assuage your pain. Emefa, it's very painful to lose such a professional gem at such an age. And so you can imagine what they are going through. And this is a story of devastating consequences and shattering magnitude. And it will take the grace of God to survive under such hellish circumstances. So our hearts and prayers go out to the family, immediate family. We're praying that never again should such unfortunate incident happen to any Ghanaian anywhere.
Lom, let me come to you, because if you follow the conversation around Jason Ade's death, we can't help but talk about mental health, especially because he himself had mentioned that the way he had been subjected to scrutiny had really taken a mental toll on him. Whilst we wait for the investigation, the coroner investigation and all of that, a family is grieving, and they can't help but put in front of all of it the suspicion that surely the mental health had really taken, the mental issue had taken a toll on him. I want to hear from you, considering the fact that in Cambridge, for you to become a professor there, you really would have to put in a lot.
Absolutely. When I read his story, it's quite fascinating, because this is someone, as you said, he's on an autism spectrum, but fascinating because he said he started speaking at age 11. And then he learned to read and write by age 18. So you can see that's like a really remarkable story for him to have gone all the way, finished the first degree, master's and a PhD. And of course, in the UK, there are less than 2% of persons of black origin who are in academia and top universities. To be in Cambridge, which is like the #1 university in the UK and in most rankings, even in the world, it's like quite rare. So, for example, I found that in my readings that in the first week that he was appointed, there was a right to information request by someone asking to understand his credentials, just from the get-go. So basically, he had been put under the microscope right from the beginning, something that most people would not have experienced. Something would have had to happen before perhaps somebody would want to say, let me go and check his credentials. But guess what? After when it started, they started looking into his credentials. His PhD is from Liverpool John Moores University. So they did their own investigation, because it brings to let's say, under scrutiny, the art degree that they gave him.
Absolutely.
So they said, let's see. And they found from their investigation that there was nothing, that was, untoward. And they stand by their PhD and they defended it and so on.
And it didn't stop there.
It didn't stop there. So it continued. And that can have a big toll. And I'm saying because the mental health element will be so significant for somebody who, as I said, had this kind of growth trajectory. Somebody who started speaking at age 11, learned to read and write at 18. That's somebody who is not on the normal path as any other child would be, because the milestones for children, by age 6, people would have even started reading and writing. So how much more 18? Do you get it? So he's had to deal with much more than expected. So it's not surprising that all these calls for scrutiny and so on led to his resignation. And now they said that he died under circumstances that, as at now, the coroner has not concluded to be maybe suspicious. In other words, he died naturally. That's what they are saying now. And it's strange, because a 41-year-old doesn't just, sleep and die. Something must have triggered it. Maybe it's not related to the mental health, but it's most likely, because one of the things that science tells us today is that mental health has such a significant impact on our physiological body. So you can have stress alone. Stress can, for example, give you heart palpitations. You think you are dying, but it's just because you are stressed. Or you could even physically feel, sick by just because of stress. So mental health issues are quite big, and I'm sure that's a big factor in his particular case and what has led to his death. It's quite unfortunate. All this coming out show that apparently he had Ghanaian, origin, and it's sad that somebody from with Ghanaian heritage has had to go through this. I've seen lots and lots of messages from people all over, including from Lord Paul Boateng, first, black, if I should say, Minister of, Finance?
in the UK,
who is also of Ghanaian heritage, also commenting about it and all of that. So it's quite sad, a sad day indeed for that. And from the reports that you see from UK media, it looks like British academia is quite divided on this issue. There are many who really support, Ade, and were not happy that he was put under so much scrutiny because they know that typically most whites are not, because that's why they are saying it's a racism issue. Most people of color get this kind of treatment compared to whites or Caucasian, and that again brings to the 4 issues of racism and so on. So it's a really sad day, and our hearts will go out to his family because he had a wife, children, and all of that. So God keep them and comfort them.
They should really be comforted. Julius, for a lover of books, a lover of academics, I'm certain that this must have hit you. Let me hear from you.
It's very unfortunate, and then I would take it from the angle of the hounding. What we forget in the age of social media is that there has been no point in human history where a single individual has the kind of audience that we now have. I can put something out today and it goes to 5 million people. There has been no point in human history where we had that, where one person can have access to millions of people. In the same vein, there has been no point in human history where so many people can be able to, direct any communication to an individual like we have today. It has never happened in human history before. And what we lose attention of is the implications and consequences for the individual. Because imagine a situation where the millions of people who were following what was happening to this gentleman, where in age old, they have to actually gather to do what they were doing. I think people would have reconsidered. That what we are doing is terrible, it's wrong, we need to pause. There were over 200 articles that came in. If it were a situation where all over 200 people have to gather, speak at him, all of that, they would have reconsidered. What we are doing is taking a toll on the individual. But because social media masks all of these things, you are in your separate location, another person is in their separate location, but in actual fact, one individual now has people targeting him more than they could have ever done any time in history. We forget those consequences and how they impact the individual, and that is it playing out to us. We are seeing the age of the social media and some of its very negative consequences that mass access is doing. When you target people on social media and you are bullying them, all of that, you forget that there are real people that are behind. But if you imagine a situation where you were before the people, like you ganged up, because it's literally like a ganging up situation on one person, and you gang up, you begin to think what we are doing is really problematic. So I think that it is high time we begin to bring people's attention to this. That cyberbullying, especially when a lot of people target one individual, is a mob attack.
It is.
It's literally a mob attack, because now you have just that one person with so many people attacking the individual. And I think that these are the consequences of the age that we need to realize as we look at the positive aspect of it, how social media has given people mass audience and all of those things, democratized, free speech and opinion and all of that. We must look at the negative consequences that it brings as well. And it's so unfortunate that someone his age with his achievement and the setbacks he had to conquer, before getting to where he has gotten to, would meet such a tragic end and only become a lesson for us as to how to behave. It is very, very unfortunate. My heart goes out to the family. I
also would have thought that for Cambridge, who had employed him as a professor, they would also stand by the fact that they have done their proper scrutiny, and then that's why they employed him. But it looks as if it's also not surprising that despite they, employing him, it looks like it is a traditional convention. People can just write to want to still scrutinize his works and all of that. But Mr. Money, maybe before we move on to other matters, he had publicly indicated that the hounding had taken a toll on him at the time that he was even resigning. So between the time he resigned and between the time that he was found, in his apartment or where he lived, I would have, I don't know, maybe family would have moved in because he was honest about how he felt. And considering, I apologize, whatever it is, but considering that he was on a spectrum, I would have thought that maybe, I don't know what the family did, but I don't know what could have happened between the time when he was very vocal about how he felt and the time that his unfortunate passing. The school, his resignation.
The family with the wife. And, I believe the wife might be tracking all the emotional turmoil he was going through, psychological torture and all that. And maybe the mails between Professor Adeti and the university authorities, Cambridge University authorities, the correspondence. So, again, we need to wait for the investigation to come up. We are inclined to believe that the authorities will come with something thorough and something conclusive, something which will answer all the lingering questions about his untimely death. And again, we need to pray for the family. One can imagine what they are going through now. It's unbearable shock and it's endless pain.
Yeah.
Our prayers, we need to intensify our prayers for the family. It is not easy at all. Especially the wife and the children.
Okay. Lom, so 3 things. First would be the UK mission. I mean, Ghana, if you have seen anything about it, then that's fine. But I haven't seen any reaction from the UK mission. It's still early days, but of course, the media has picked it up. This matter has well started a while ago. It's not new, but I'm just wondering why the UK mission hasn't said anything about it. I've also got Reverend Jones Latte watching us from London, who usually will send in comments and all. And here's his comment I'm just going to read because he lives in the UK. He says that, good morning. The manner of Prof. Ade's death raises the ethical question of exit. Exit is the ethical description of how anybody will choose death. The charge of plagiarism against a black in the UK is heavy. Prof. Ade was hounded. He was racially pressurized to resign by unseen hands, and I sympathize with his family. And of course, one of my favorite persons, Samson Ladiang, also sends me a message this morning saying that he was a neurodivergent person, and Jason was twice cleared of plagiarism. And all of a sudden, they used his biography to crucify him. These are 2 comments coming from 2 of my favorite persons who do the watching almost every morning. But the UK mission, are you expecting anything from them?
Well, I'm sure now that we can expect something from them. I say this because, to be honest, I've heard about this story for some time, but I didn't specifically know that he was of Ghanaian heritage too much recently. Of course, we have the name Ade, it's a Ghana name, that family. I even had a student who bore that surname, so I know it quite well, but I wasn't sure that he was particularly Ghanaian. But since his death, I've seen that he has Ghanaian heritage in some of the reports. So perhaps the Ghana Mission, High Commission in the UK, will also take note of it and perhaps issue a statement. But from the reports, many people in the UK have commented on it. High-profile personalities, including the Mayor of London, former secretaries of state and so on, different capacities, Labour MPs, I've seen so many of that. And as I mentioned, it's because there's big division in the UK about this. Because, it's like the academia is split on whether this was the right approach or not. Because as I mentioned, he did go through scrutiny right from the start. Immediately the accusation started, his university that issued the PhD did the investigation and cleared him.
That should be enough, shouldn't
it should be enough, yes, because even before Cambridge would have employed him, they would have gone through that process. My sister works with Cambridge University. Before you are employed, they go through a very rigorous process to do that, to pick you and to check your background, all of that. So I know what it takes. Then after that, Cambridge also set up an investigation as well. They also went through the process.
Wasn't it because the media, the British media lynched him? Because
yes, that's it. Because you see, as I said, that Cambridge is like the #1 university, if I literally in the world. On most international rankings, you see that Cambridge comes top, and definitely the UK, absolutely. And it is the most elitist university in the UK. As I mentioned, less than 2% of their faculty is black. We are talking essentially a Caucasian-dominated, faculty and all of that. And you know how that is tied to the elite in the UK. So obviously, immediately, the name of the university started getting mentioned. Those who are, if I say pro-right wing, as they say right wing, pro maybe Western, anti-immigration, all those groups were clamoring because they're saying that the name of the university, which is their pride, was being dragged in the mud. So, as you mentioned that for one of the messages were that unseen hands led him to resign. Basically, he was cleared on all the things, on the ethical points that would have been raised. The universities did their investigations and cleared him. However, the name of Cambridge will always be in the media anytime they talk about him. So they will encourage him to resign because the university knows that it is not right to sack him.
Yeah.
There's no basis to sack him. They've checked and all of that. They've done, all the checks that are required, and they think that he's more than qualified. In fact, one of the other things that I found was that, you see, there's been criticism in the past about Cambridge and top universities like Oxford and so on, that they are not diverse enough. Because if you look at the UK population, the diversity of the population itself should reflect in academia and many other places. All over the world, that's what everybody's striving to do. You let every institution, every organization reflect the general population. So for example, perhaps even, let's say in the media, most of the time your panelists are heavily male dominated, which means that I'm sure perhaps you guys have an internal policy to strive to get as many women so that it will balance, because in Ghana, there are more women than men.
Sure, so you have just spoken Kingsley's mind. He
absolutely.
he get women
yes,
on the
because actually the panel should reflect the population. And when it does, actually there will be more women than men. So that's what is happening. There was a push in the UK for faculty to reflect the population. In other words, more blacks, more women, more minorities, and so on. And he also, particularly because he was on the spectrum, that is also key, because the advancement of people with disability or with conditions like that should also reflect in the sense that once they are capable, because they have, he's grown all the way to get a PhD, there's nothing that prevents him from living a full, complete life just like any other person. So Cambridge was in a position, they had to push for that. In fact, before faculty diversity, there was push for even that in the student body as well, because historically it has been a very elitist university where people of privilege, people from noble homes and families are the kinds of people who are attending these universities. So everybody, from the reportage, suggests that the scrutiny was highlighted because of his background, which is quite sad. And so
Okay. Well, Julius, welcome, Kwesi Bochi. I want the whole world to know that you came late. So say good morning. say good morning. Where's your camera? That's your camera. Say good morning.
Good morning. I just got to Accra actually from Kumasi.
Oh, then that's nice of you.
So from the airport, I had to come here straight.
That's really nice of you. Then I take it back. Okay. So, Julius, I'm going to start with you on. Then I'm just going to take just some 30 seconds to comment on Professor Ade's death. Surely you must have heard about it.
It's an unfortunate situation. I think that from the news I'm hearing, it was a suicide attempt.
Well, we don't know that yet.
Suicide.
They only found him dead. We don't know whether it was suicide or anything, except they say he's unsuspicious.
I think that the circumstances has to be investigated so that we can come to a logical conclusion. I have seen people on social media read several meanings into it. But I think that the UK authorities should conduct an investigation so we all know what happened. Yeah. Okay.
All right. When I come back to you again, you speak a bit louder. Okay. Yes, Allah, you must be tired. Drink some water.
No, I'm okay.
Okay, Julius, let me start with you. Let me start with the topic of what I say an almost religious tension, because it wasn't religious tension yet, but it's worth talking about, especially because through the Interior Ministry, the IGP has had to convey a dialogue on this particular matter. And the entire brouhaha about a particular photo not being a photo and all of that, I think we've moved past it. But you speak for the ministry. If you want to situate it better, for people to get clarity on exactly what has happened. We know that this is because of a certain level of human violation we saw in a video that has also stated arrest, release, persons that are on bail, there's a dialogue and all of that. But as a country, I would have thought we've made some progress. Why are we here?
I think that we have indeed made some progress, and Ghana has an enviable situation when you look at our geographical location in the world. If you look at the top 10 nations that are affected by terrorism all over the world, they are all in our four of them, the top 4 of them are all in our sub-region. And then we have a unique situation where countries around us, if you take Burkina Faso, for example, does not control parts of its territory. But Ghana has a unique situation where we control all our territories, 100%. And we are one of the most peaceful countries anywhere in the world. I think that oasis of peace that we are must be protected at all costs. And things that seek to threaten that peace must be dealt with. So the occurrences within the period, as you said, almost looking like a religious tension of a sort, are very unfortunate. I don't think that there is anyone who desires a situation where, on religious basis, we start going at each other. And one important thing I want to underscore as well is the hasty generalizations that often characterize these events. We are a population of over 33 million people. We are made up of Muslims, Christians, traditional religion, and some other minor religions that we may not necessarily mainstream in conversations. When incidents happen, then you begin to hear people saying that this set is like this, that set is like this, ignoring the fact that there is an overwhelming millions of other people belonging to one set or the other who have not conducted themselves in a particular way. I think that those sort of narratives are what exacerbate, circumstances that are minor but consequential, but could be dealt with. Then they, highlight them in a manner that becomes unbecoming. Because the conversations I saw on social media around these matters, people pointing fingers to one group pointing fingers to the other, because individuals of those groups have conducted themselves in a certain manner. I think that going forward, we must consciously, look at how we put out these sort of conversations. Then when it comes to religious leadership as well, yesterday, the Honorable Minister for the Interior, Honorable Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak, met the National Muslim Conference at the National Mosque. Today, he will be meeting leadership of the Christian faith as well. And the conversation, part of it centered on us ensuring that those who mount pulpits all across have a clear understanding of our peculiar socio-political situation, so that certain utterances which may lead to inflammations and which may lead to conflicts that were threatened in these recent days do not come up. And that is also very, very important that we look at it. The people who preach to people in this country, what are the sort of things they are saying? Are they things that would enhance the peace of the country? We need to look at that. Then on the particular incident that happened, at the police headquarters, the last time when I was speaking to GH1, I said that if those of us in leadership will be trusted to deal with these issues, we must admit, first of all, that what happened there was disgraceful. It was embarrassing for the state that we have a situation where a person under custody, one way or the other, civilians had access to that person and were seen in the video questioning the person. I think that is unfortunate on our side, and it is disgraceful on the side of the state. We must admit that plainly. There is no debate about it.
Come again with that.
I said that, as a state, it is disgraceful that happened. We must admit it plainly if the public is going to trust the state to deal with these issues. There is no debate about that incident being something that should not occur at all. Because when people are arrested and they are in the hands of law enforcement, it is their personal liberty that is temporarily restricted. All other rights are preserved under law. And it is the duty of the persons who hold them in detention to preserve and protect those rights. And so if there is a breach and there's an interference with those rights, I think that it is something that we must admit that is improper. It is for that reason that the minister has made consequential directives. That he wants to have, and I think that the IGP is looking into the matter, he wants to have a clear understanding and finding by the IGP investigating those matters on how the civilians, first of all, had access. Those civilians who had access, we saw that the person who was seen in the viral video was arrested. Our law allows for persons who are suspected to be, be in a situation where they would cause a breach of the peace, to be bonded, to be of good behavior. Those individuals have been bonded to be of good behavior going forward. But we want to still fully understand the full circumstances under which civilians had access to the individual in the first place. That must be investigated and brought to the conclusion. The Ghanaian people want answers on that. We want to secondly understand which people were on duty who were supposed to be responsible for ensuring that this breach did not happen. The minister wants that investigation concluded and sanctions, meted out where appropriate. The minister also wants the supervising officers of those people queried on the matter. And so those are the three-layered investigations that the minister has directed.
Has it started?
The IGP, yes, the IGP is dealing with that. I think that according to the official communication that was sent to the IGP, the deadline for responding to the initial issues was, I think, last week. So investigations into the particular officer is supposed to commence after the IGP's own initial response. So we are very focused on maintaining the peace of this country. Beyond that, the minister's message yesterday, I'm sure that parts of it would be later put in the media, is that there would be no discrimination whatsoever when it comes to, consequences for breach of the law, for threatening the public order of the country. We will not look at whether you are a Shintoist, a Buddhist, a Muslim, a Christian. There will be no such considerations when it comes to dealing with people who threaten the peace of this country. We are not going to look at any face, we are not going to look at any considerations beyond the fact that the laws of this country have been broken. There are people who want to threaten the peace of this country, and those people must be brought to book. It's as simple as that. I think the minister will be repeating that message today when he meets, the leadership of the Christian community.
So yesterday he met with the Muslim community.
Yes. There will be no such discrimination on the basis. There will be no such thing when it comes to dealing with, disruption of public order. We are not going to allow few elements to destroy the peace that we have built over the period. And we can all admit that religious leadership has contributed significantly to maintaining the peace in this country. And so if we have few elements who, for religious basis, want to disrupt that peace, there must be a clampdown. Take the National Chief Imam, for example. There is nobody in Ghana who can deny his significant role in always bridging, gaps, bringing people together, ensuring that there is a national focus, there's a national identity. If you look at the individual of the National Chief Imam, he has transcended being the leader of one religious sect. He has become an embodiment of our Ghanaian uniqueness, our Ghanaian, coexistence, our peaceful, solidarity as a people with one destiny. And so when we have elements within, the various religions who, for one reason or the other, want to foment trouble for us, we must not look at those religious bases, because if we have examples like himself, who is a religious leader that has transcended that into a national symbol, then I think that is what we should all be emulating. It's the same thing when it comes to Christian leadership. We have our leaders who have now embodied, what is essentially the national setup of our country, our diversity and all of that. So there's no room whatsoever for people who want to foment trouble. The whole idea that if you belong to one set, majority, minority, we don't look at those narratives. We are all Ghanaians, first of all, before any other identity. Ghana is governed by the 1992 constitutions and laws made by the parliament of this republic. There is no other law. We don't have Christian laws in Ghana. We don't have Muslim laws in Ghana. And so people who preach particular laws and encourage people to go and act according to those laws, which are not the laws of Ghana, we are not going to accept any of those things. So I think that message would be the key highlights.
What really started, I'm going to have to take you back a little bit for clarity. What really now reduced the conversation to who was in a certain picture and who was not in a certain picture? How did that even start? And what's the clarity we need?
I think that the incident, I was with your sister station, Adum, earlier in the week. That whole conversation is very unfortunate because I think that we all have a responsibility to ensure that every information we put out there is credible.
Prior to that, had you seen that picture on social media?
Yes, but you see, when you go on the police page, okay, anytime police arrest people in Ghana, we all know that it is a norm for them to blur the faces of the individuals. It is in rare circumstances that they don't do that. For example, when the people themselves come to the police station and turn themselves in, or it's very rare circumstances that they don't do that, or situations where the arrest itself is characterized by a situation where the public has already viewed the individual that is involved, or sometimes the people are so high profile that by the time they are arrested, everybody knows who has been arrested, etc. But time without number, we all know that the norm is that the police blur the face of individuals who they have arrested.
Agree.
So if the police post a picture on their social media pages with the face of the individual totally blurred, then we see on social media people say that they have used AI to unmask the person, to remove, the blur that the police have put over there and say that it's a different individual. I think that we should all, discard that
beyond the misinformation and just people trying to be sinister. What does it bring to the table about confidence in the police and all of that? Because in the past, you hardly see that a person will use AI to want to attack.
This whole thing started with, I think that some people who have voice in our society should also exercise a bit of responsibility. And this is not me trying to attack anybody.
Okay.
I have deep personal respect for Oliver Barker-Vormawor. This whole thing started with him when he went on his social media to say that in Ghana they don't arrest big men and that the individual will not be arrested. That's when this whole thing started with him. But in Ghana, is it true that in Ghana they don't arrest big men? Chachuchi Kata was arrested. Shemawu to me is a big man. He has been arrested. People are arrested in Ghana. So that whole narrative that in Ghana they don't arrest big men and so the person will not be arrested, that was what started the whole thing. So Oliver Barker-Vormawor, with all respect to him, is the one who started what eventually became a disinformation campaign to further erode the trust of the public in the Ghana Police Service. It was pursuant to his statements that when the police made the post on social media, then people started saying that, they are going to unmask the person that the police... But if a picture is taken of you, Emefa, the face is blurred, and I put it in ChatGPT or any of these AI apps to unmask you, it will try to, as closely as possible, as its, algorithms and indices suggest to it, what is behind the picture. That's what it will try to do. It will not accurately bring your face.
Okay.
And so that is what happened. Someone says they use AI, to unmask the individual who was arrested, and then put it out there that it is not the individual. And because, prior to that, you have someone with a large audience as Oliver Barker-Vormawor telling the people that the actual person will not be arrested. People were minded to accept that narrative. It became more unfortunate, and this is not me trying to attack the media or anything. I mean, in my role, I deal with the media every day, so I'm minded not to attack the media. But it became very. Oh, of course, this is not me trying to attack the media. I will not do that.
Let's see the comment before we know whether it's an attack.
You know that it is not. This is not me trying to attack them. But it is very unfortunate when media platforms that have gathered credibility for years use their platforms to advance what is essentially disinformation.
Let me explain a little something. Once I understand that, let me explain a little something. Almost about 50 or 40% of some of the things we bring to the fore are conversations in the public.
Yes.
Because you speak for that ministry, at that particular point in time, you're the most authoritative person. You just confirm or debunk, and then that's it. It doesn't necessarily bring to bear the quality of journalist or journalism at that time.
I'm not questioning.
Did you understand what I mean?
I understand what you mean. I'm not
because it required that amount of attention. Because as you said, a reputable person, we all have had to reference Oliver. That's why they said it.
Yeah, so, I'm not questioning the quality of journalism. I'm questioning why an error of that magnitude was allowed to happen. Because I think that at the inception, there should be a check that would necessarily bring to the conclusion, no, this is an AI. And also, secondly, when the police put a picture out, which is in a particular manner, and the media is presenting it, which is in a different manner, a different form altogether. It is important that the media answers the question where that different form is coming from. It is important that the media answers that question. That is why I feel that it is highly unfortunate that we have a situation where the media was pushing that AI-generated, image. There is already some level of apprehension when it comes to the work of the Ghana Police Service. But if you work closely with the police, you realize that it's a serious institution that people take them. The police will not, under any circumstance, go and arrest a different person and present it to the public as another person. This is not going to happen, that the police will do that. So the fact that people are able to feed this information to the public, to make them believe that the Ghana Police Service is deceiving them, I think the media should have taken that issue more seriously and done a background check before they advance.
I'd go to Mr. Money, but when I have time and I come back to you, because you have invited me to the quality of police service, you initially also mentioned that we're trying to investigate how people had access to the police service. So we also agree that it could be flaws.
Of course, there could be flaws, but flaws to the extent that the police would arrest a different person and present it to the Ghanaian public.
But civilians had access to the police, the police station, did they not?
That is one thing. If you listen to me from the outset of this conversation, I had stated clearly that it is a national embarrassment. We should accept it fair.
Okay, let me go to Mr.
That is a problem. We must accept that. But to think that the police would deliberately go and arrest a different person, present it to the Ghanaian public as another person, that's scandalous. And if you are going to put out a scandal of that magnitude, diligence requires that you verify it. And
let me get to Mr. Money.
Sources to the Ghanaian people that this is the source.
Okay.
That I have this.
Mr. Money, surely you followed this particular matter, and it's also just it's broken it into two parts where nearly the peace of our country, people will say, was threatened. I take it quite serious because if you read stories about Nigeria, you really will not say that at almost tension is a tension. And we won't look at it with a small, lens. So I want to hear from you.
Emefa, let me admit that the media is a human institution. And like all human institutions, perfection is an impossible goal. So as a media system, we have imperfections. But the imperfection of the media relative to this issue is minuscule as compared to the perpetration of violence in the police headquarters. Emefa, if you are arrested and you are sent to a police hospital, your safety is guaranteed. But by mere fact that the police headquarters is protected, we have security men who do everything possible. Even the mere persons will force you to shy away from committing crime. But how come that somebody who has been arrested, was exposed to public attack? In fact, this is an issue which requires the highest investigation, the most thorough investigation, and people who show laxity in enforcing the rules, enforcing safety, enforcing law and order. In fact, the law should deal surgically with such people. We've been told that the law be applied. It will not be swayed. The application of the law will not be swayed by religious sentiment. This is coming from the Ministry of the Interior. Fine statement. We also need to spray a perfume of commendation on the IGP for acting swiftly on this issue. But the fact remains that those who allowed certain men to gain access to this suspect, to the extent of molesting him at the police headquarters, Emefa, this is something which boggles their mind, something which should cause the whole police institution to bow down their heads in shame. We need to follow as a media system, follow how this matter will end. And this should serve as an example. Never again should the police allow their institution to be used as an avenue for the perpetration of crime. This also reinforces the need, what is happening, reinforces the need for us to deepen interfaith dialogue. Ghana has been described as an island, an ocean of interfaith conflict, religious conflict. If you look at what's happening in Nigeria, jihadists, having a field day. If you go to Mali, Burkina Faso, it's we can't really compare to what's happening in this country. Emefa, these are warning signs that we are not immune from such religious disaster. If action is not taken to nip this issue in the bud, we need to deepen interfaith dialogue. We need to offer Emefa also social action. Initiate more social action between Muslims and Christians and followers of other faiths. We also need to allow the chief imam to influence as many people as possible. The chief imam is a specimen of, is a unique specimen of humanity. We haven't seen his ilk in this country since independence. Chief imam is a signboard of unity. It's also a signpost of peace. So Chief Imam, and it's interesting, it's very significant. His office has come out to condemn this incident and the office also reassured Ghanaians that they will not support anything which can liken to religious disturbance. So again, IGP you've done well by instituting investigation in this matter and holding with the spirit of light discussion among Christians and Muslims. But that should not end here. We expect action to be taken. We are in the dispensation of the rule of law, and in such dispensation, anyone who willfully finds himself on the wrong side of the law should be made to taste the biting edge of the law. So we expect the law to bite, and bite hard at those who went to a police headquarters to perpetrate violence in the full glare of the public.
Let me come to you, Kwesi. Just when you decided to read a newspaper.
No, you don't want me to read a newspaper.
Yeah. Let's talk about this matter. Yeah, I'm certain that you've been following this.
Yes. So I was counseled to the pastor, and so I have first-hand information in all that happened. And I'm also privileged to know the facts surrounding this very situation. But I'll resist the temptation of turning this conversation into a Christian-Muslim tussle. I would say it was a tussle between two individuals. It wasn't a Christian and Muslim issue. Emefa, this is a very sensitive matter. And so I will call for restraint in discussing this very matter because, like Julius mentioned, we live in a country where we are surrounded by countries that have been invaded by extremists and terrorists. And if you read and look at the history, there's a pattern on how all these things start. And so we have to be very careful about some of these matters because there are several workers of iniquity sitting on the fence of this nation waiting to inflame some of these things. And like Julius is aware, some of these things should not just be seen as a light matter. It is not something that should be treated with kid gloves. It is a very serious and it is a very sensitive matter. But before I proceed, I would want to make a suggestion to Julius. He speaks for the ministry. And you know, as secretary to the Defense and Interior Committee of the NPP, I will make a suggestion to him that when matters of this nature happen, he should be slow on his media engagement. Because if you look at the tensions that was even at the police station on the day of the event while I was watching him on, I watched him on Joy News in the morning, and later I was watching him on one of the stations in the police station. And if you look at the tension that was there, I think that maybe next time, this is just a friendly suggestion to him, he should hasten slowly when some of these highly sensitive security matters come up. Because I am aware that so many things were done behind the scenes that wasn't put in the public domain. And Emefa, if you care to know, on the day of the incident, that very morning, I was on show with council. After the show, I had to go for a meeting. I was at a meeting when a top clergy within the Christian Council called me
that this is what had transpired and wants me to represent the pastor. Initially, I was a bit hesitant. Hey, what has happened? Because I had not seen the video. But when I go to the police station, I saw several pastors there. I saw several imams there. And so I realized that this is a matter that demands tact and not law. And so I quickly engaged the police commander, who was extremely professional. And let me single him out for a mention. I don't know his rank, but Seth Sewono. I think he is the commander for the in charge for the Special Investigations Unit. He's a great, fantastic police officer. Because if you look at how he managed the situation and, you know, considering the public uproar that came with everything, I think that he managed the situation quite well. And so let's be very mindful and careful in the media when we comment about some of these things. Again, I also do not think that this matter, I know Julius's boss, the minister, is calling for an investigation and, you know, for this matter to be brought to its logical conclusion and all that. But I would rather prefer that this matter is dealt with backdoor. Let's not push for prosecutions. Let's not push for, you know, people to be dealt with. I agree that when people offend the law, when people fall short of the law must take its course. I am totally aligned on this. But I think that considering the sensitive nature of this matter, and number two, considering the fact that the IGP found it necessary to convene a meeting between the Islamic Council, the Christian Council, and the Peace Council to settle this matter and to bring, you know, some calmness to this matter, I think that the wisdom of the IGP and in calling that meeting should at least reduce the tensions in this country. But initiating prosecutions might regenerate more tensions because, sincerely, my client, the pastor, has a lot to say. I have advised him not to go into the issues in the media, not to be visiting one station to the another, because media people would want to speak to him and all that. Even regarding the picture that was put out and all that, I think that, again, let's hasten slowly. Because on the matter of the picture, and sincerely, the public and the media has no obligation to swallow whatever the police or any other law enforcement agency tells them hook, line, and sinker. It is the duty of the media to interrogate some of these issues. And so if people have reasonable suspicions about a certain matter, I think that workers of the Ministry of Interior and officials of the Ministry of Interior should rather take these things as feedback and not to be seen to be pushing their narrative, you know, on the media or pushing their narrative out there. Because for people to actually have the apprehension that this is not the person in question, you should rather call for an investigation. That if this is not the person, then the police should, you know, investigate the matter and, you know, but you shouldn't be seen to be having confrontations with media practitioners who have reasonable suspicion to believe that something is not the case, because this is a highly sensitive matter. And so, Emefa, I would not say much on this matter.
That's not much.
I would not go into the details of this matter, Emefa, because, you see, religious leaders have a role to play. We live in a country where day in, day out, if Julius will be very sincere to the public, I don't want to say that our peace is being threatened, but we live in a country where, if you consider what is happening in the sub-Saharan region, you would know that we have to be careful about some of these things. And some of these things should not be treated as though it is just a fight between Christians and Muslims. There is no fight between Christians and Muslims. There is no fight.
Absolutely.
At the police station, I met with several imams. In fact, they offered me drink and water, except that day I was fasting, and so I didn't take it. But we live in a very harmonious society. We are one people. I engaged Imam Angola. We had very, you know, friendly conversation. He was at the police station. He was under detention. The pastor was also there. You know, so I think that let's commend the police. Let's commend the police for handling this matter with tact, and let's also condemn them for allowing whatever happened in the video to happen. But Emefa, our land here.
Okay, let me go to Lom. And if I still have time, but I have to go around. He had invited Julius to a certain advice. We'll see whether Julius wants to take that advice.
It was a suggestion. Julius is a big man.
We'll see.
Julius is a big man. You go and set me up in the meeting on social media to say I'm advising him. He's a big man.
No, suggestion.
It's a suggestion.
Even when you advise somebody, don't forget that an advice is a suggestion as well, because advice does not come to your head to take it. Let me moderate this now. Let me moderate this.
I welcome the suggestion.
Let me moderate this conversation.
Let it be on record that I welcome.
You can let your social media people.
No, I'm crazy. I welcome the suggestion.
You work with a powerful government.
What is this obsession between the two of them? I just wonder. Okay, I'll come round. Let me So I mean, if I hear Kwesi, it definitely invites me to look at this with a deeper lens. One, I can't help but say that video that went on social media, the Ministry of Interior, even as a journalist, when I was doing that story on the midday bulletin, I would go heaven on earth to want to speak to the Interior to give me an explanation to why civilians had access to that.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk about that. Absolutely. Then as well, I cannot also pretend about the role religion plays in our politics in this country.
Absolutely.
So I hear both of them. But I see, yes, there's religion and there's definitely a certain criminality which will definitely invite the Interior to talk about. But let me hear from you, and then we'll come back for some rebuttals if there's need.
So Emefa, you're very right. And to be honest with you, I think that perhaps because of social media and we've been exposed to a lot of, if I should say, information, sometimes we tend to take things that are pretty simple and straightforward and make them into big things. In other words, a storm in a teacup. For example, you see this issue about the picture. In the video, we see the person who slapped him. In fact, even if you pause the video, you see the person. You don't need AI to unmask anybody. So, for example, like if Ghana police has issued a statement and puts on their social media, they've put a picture and marks them. As far as I'm concerned, the video is there. I can see the man. I can see the man, and who they have posted, I can see if it's the person or not. If they have decided to cover the face as they usually do, that's fair enough. But the whole Ghana who has seen that video has already seen the person. In fact, not only him, all the people in that video, we should be able to tell subsequently when they are being prosecuted whether it is those people or not. So for me, there shouldn't be any back and forth and issues about who it was and not, because the video is clear. The pertinent issue that raises is how the civilians get access to the person. Because when you are you have been arrested, essentially you are now the charge of the state. The police have charge over you, they have custody over you, and they control everything about you, where you will be placed and all of that. So there's no circumstance under which civilians should have had access to the person. And the police have acknowledged that the Interior Ministry has already stepped in front of that to say, let's get to the bottom of it, because somebody will be the arresting officer, somebody will be the commanding officer, all of that. So when the investigation is done, we'll see what happens. But as far as I'm concerned, there should be some consequence, because that's the only way in which things like this will stop. Because there should be no circumstance where civilians would have had access to this person to be able to do anything, even question him to the point of even hitting him and all of that. And when we narrow it down to that focus, then we don't even need to get into the religious aspect of it. But I understand why the minister will call for a dialogue, or for the IGP to even, based on the minister's instruction, have a sit down with religious leaders. Because you see, in other countries and what we've seen, religious tensions are not triggered by necessarily big things. Sometimes a very small thing, a small spark, can lead to something significant. And in this case, we know that the person was arrested because of comments that related to religion. At the same time, we also know that per the laws of Ghana, no citizen has a right to take the law into their own hands. So if the person has been arrested as a pastor for whatever he said, and of course, Kwesi is here as his lawyer, they are going to do what they have to do to defend him and deal with the case and all that. And if he's not guilty, he will also, be acquitted and discharged. However, the person who hit him also doesn't have a right to do so, because you don't have the right to take the law into your own hands. So he also will be arrested for that and will be prosecuted, and that should be the end of it. But in the meantime, the dialogue can continue, the consultations can continue, just to bring down any potential tensions that could have escalated, because we know that it is religion and or religious issues can easily get out of hand. But for me, I want to see it as a very simple, straightforward matter. The person who has been arrested is supposedly being tried under the same sections that, you know, the TikTokers and the, party communicators and so on have been in recent times, which we have all been talking about. You have a right to say anything, but don't say anything that will exacerbate a situation to lead to a potential breach of the peace. If the elements of that offense have been made out, obviously you'll be convicted. If not, you'll be acquitted and discharged. The same way, you can't assault somebody under any circumstance. You don't have a right to use force against somebody unless you are within the permitted exceptions. And this clearly for this video is not one of those permitted exceptions. The person he hit was not even looking at him. The person was not charging at him. He was not trying to defend himself by hitting him. He hit him without any provocation, as we can see from the video. And as far as I'm concerned, the consequence for that hitting should also fall on the gentleman. And from the video, we can see who he is. I don't need AI to know who that is. And so any person who has to go through the process of unmasking him to, share to the public and all of that is unnecessary. Let's just treat it for what it is. Potential crimes have been committed. Accused persons should be arraigned before court and they should go through the process.
So, wait, there's that temptation to want to be afraid of what religious tensions can be, and then it will mask accountability or it will mask justice if there's
which is why I'm saying that because the minister has called for an investigation, it deals with the accountability question. Because the reason why we are seeing this video is because somebody recorded it in a police station. And what we see from the video suggests that something has gone wrong. Because no person, you see, the gentleman, the pastor, is in handcuffs. Someone who's in handcuffs, how was he so available to persons who are not police officers to the point where the person even hit him? You understand? So once the minister is saying that an investigation should be done, it has to be done. And that's how the accountability will come in. Because, there are many officers who could have been in charge of this. They have a supervisor, they are, commanding officers and all of that. Who asked them to bring him to the corridor? Was he inside? Was there any indication? Because I think Kwesi has also mentioned that when he got there were several pastors and imams there. As security persons, they take a cue from even that. They can take a cue from it to say, the way people have started gathering here, maybe we should keep the person away. In fact, there are times when you commit or you are alleged to have committed an offense, the reason why the police will actually arrest you is to protect you. So they should, there are things that they have to consider. What is the standard operating procedure and all this? So the investigation will mark that, and accountability will follow from there. Okay. So let's not belabor the point. Let
me take clearance from Mr. Money. Mr. Money, the suggestion, advice from our good friend to Julius it has to jump you to come to him. Should he take it? If you say yes or no, then we'll proceed to the other topic. I saw him jotting. He swallowed it there.
In all humility.
You just suggestions come, you take them, you filter them.
Okay.
You see what's best for the country.
Okay. All right. Let's go to other matters then.
Oh, I have to address.
What?
Oh, please.
Let me hear you. Let me hear you. What do you want to say?
You see, I think that we should all get a clear understanding of the issue about public confidence in our institutions and when certain things are done, the effects they have on public confidence and the responsibilities that are on each of us and the question whether or not we've all discharged those responsibilities very well. That is why I started on the outset. Kwesi suggested that I'm saying that the public should swallow hook, line, and sinker anything the police. Oh, please, Kwesi. Not every conversation between us must be tensed.
Especially when I'm the one moderating.
There's no such suggestion that the public should swallow hook, line, and sinker what the police put out there. I am one of the people who scrutinizes institutions more than anyone in this country. So I don't expect that institutions should not be scrutinized. The question is how and whether they are proper. And I am very happy to note that he said that when he was at the police headquarters, he saw Alhaji Angola at the police headquarters and he was under arrest. I think that Kwesi's corroboration should put this matter to rest as to who was arrested. Lawyer Kwesi Bochwe was counsel for the pastor, right? And Lawyer Kosibochi has made this point clear that there is no such thing as conflict between Muslims and Christians. I agree, 100%. It is individuals who were doing their own thing. But there was a case of misinformation saying that the person who was involved, that individual who was arrested, is not the actual person. When such an issue is put out there, and you speak for a ministry like the Interior, it is important that when that issue is put before you, you clarify. You don't allow that sort of thing to fester.
I think the viewers are in a good position to
whatsoever.
I think
on the media, please.
I think that.
Can I just wrap it up?
One of the things that I like with my viewers is that you don't.
They are discerning. You don't need to, so let me just wrap it up.
Let
me just wrap it up in 45 seconds. Let me just wrap. So it is not about that. It is about the responsibility. Oliver should not have gone to the market with a suggestion that the person will not be arrested.
That point has been made.
Then the media should not have gone with an AI picture.
That's
showing people that the person
made.
has not been arrested. And so please, I'm glad that Kwesi has confirmed to all of us on this platform that he was at the police headquarters and Angola was under arrest and he spoke with him. Oh, you said Kwesi, Kwesi, you clearly said that you met Alhaji Angola and then you had a conversation with him and he was under arrest. That point is made.
What's the issue?
Then
because
on the
you're
last
responding
thing,
to something he says.
Let me just conclude so he has it.
No, because you're responding to something he says. He says that you don't need that reminder. You don't need that reminder. What I'm saying is, Julius, because you are responding to him, and he's here saying that that's not what he said. You can't wrap it up.
Okay,
do you understand? You can't wrap it up when he says this one.
There are two things here. I said that I saw an Alhaji Angola, the police station, and I even interacted with him. Yes. The concern about the Ghanaian people that I have seen on social media, on the day the police made the post, I didn't see it because I was in the police station dealing with the issues. The concern is that the photo the police posted is not Alhaji Angola. As to whether or not the photo the police posted...
But when you went to the police station, it was
I want to hear where he's going with
as to whether or not the photo the police posted is Alhaji Angola or not, I cannot say. Because I didn't see the face of the person.
But that's where I have a challenge with. What I mean is that once the ministry says that it is not, they can't keep quiet, can they?
No, they cannot.
Social media is concerned. The clarity is needed.
The ministry shouldn't respond to issues. I'm only saying that when some of these issues come up, the ministry should handle it with tact.
Example.
For instance,
what has been
pushing the narrative that it is him. Mm-hmm. The public is expressing some distrust for law enforcement.
When it is actually him?
I was thinking that the ministry would rather call, because don't forget, the ministry has a supervisory insight on the Ghana Police Service. I was thinking that the ministry, being the higher agency, would call for an investigation even into the matter.
When it's apparent that it is
the ministry is taking up the matter to investigate.
That is not
establish
the
as to whether or not the photo the police service posters.
When you went to the police headquarters, you said you met Alhaji Angola. He was under arrest.
Okay.
It is the person. So if it is not the person, why was it a different person?
It's that conclusion that was
no question.
If he was not the person, why is he not a different person?
I will not belabor this matter.
Both of you. So if I understand,
if it's a different person, why did you miss the actual person at the police headquarters?
So if I understand, when the public started showing the distrust, the IGP should probe investigation. I don't know, Julius, I want to understand where it's coming from. I
didn't hear what you said.
So since we said the pictures, since you're saying that once that picture came and there's some sort of misunderstanding in the public, the ministry should have called for an investigation as to whether or not it is done.
I think.
That's what you think. That's what he thinks.
That's what I think.
That's what he thinks. He's not saying that's how it should be. That's what he thinks. You have also responded
I don't have the power to say that's how it should be.
And we're ending this matter. You have also said that the thing was so apparent. There's no need for that.
Apparent. I mean, imagine you are Inspector General of Police.
He doesn't have to imagine.
No, let him imagine.
I don't want to.
He doesn't want to imagine.
You would hear me anyway.
Imagine
you are Inspector General of Police. And then you are directed by your boss to investigate what is an apparent misinformation that even children can see. And indeed, you see, the reason why I am emphasizing this point is that Kwesi wants to join in this disinformation campaign.
When in actual fact, you cannot say this. Please, no, you cannot say this. Let me just. No, you cannot say this. Please, you cannot.
You want to join in this disinformation?
You cannot say this. You cannot.
But one point is clear: when you went to the police headquarters, you have told us that you saw Alhaji Angola. If a different person was arrested, how did you see Alhaji Angola? That is the question. We should not do this. We should not always bastardize institutions.
But have I said a different person was arrested?
The Ghana Police Service.
Have I said
you are saying that the apparent disinformation should be investigated when you actually saw the actual person who was arrested.
Who has said that?
How are you saying this?
No, I disputed what the police did.
Not every conversation.
I'm saying that the concerns of the public were.
All right. Kwesi, I'm going to start with you on Adam. So I think because this matter is under investigation, right? It will still come up for us to discuss. We're ending and going to other matters.
The matter of whether or not it was Alhaji Angola who was arrested.
It's been clear. We're saying that. Listen, if you're interested, you can go to court if the matter is in court. Is this matter going to go to court? Will this matter go to court? Julius, will this matter go to court?
Which matter?
This investigation, any part of it, whoever is being investigated.
That brings me my attention to the fact that he has suggested that there must not necessarily be prosecutions. I mean, he is a lawyer. He understands that there can be bonding of people, which I said earlier. That the people have been bonded. It's part of the criminal procedure.
Yes,
you don't necessarily have...
No, you pass the question to me.
Do you take briefing from your boss before you speak on issues?
About what do you mean? What do you mean?
You know what? We'll end this. Let's go to Adamus. Kwesi, do you know that I've been inviting you to other matters?
What do you mean by that?
I'm surprised that was what
you see, you are just interested
I've invited you other matters.
I'm not attacking you.
You are interested in personal attacks, not the issues.
I've called you 2 times. Talk about Adamus. I'll go to Mr. Money. Please mute their microphone. Please mute their microphone. Is it muted? Is it muted? It's muted. Okay. Mr. Money, let's talk about Adamus.
You are saying we should investigate whether it's a person or not.
Have I said so?
Because someone...
You are rather saying the things you want to say.
But you went to the police headquarters yourself and you saw the person. How can you see the person and still say that we should investigate whether it was the person or not?
Mr. Money, their microphones are muted. Let's talk about Adamus and matters arising. So, if you look at the revocation of the Adamus license and then matters arising, I've had a few people who work with Adamus share concerns that they are quite afraid about the instability of their job, as to whether a takeover, a revamping of it, whatever it is that the ministry thinks it would do after upholding the decision of the Minerals Commission is concerned. Moving forward, I see that Adamus is actually even pushing back. Adamus is pushing back.
At the same time, I think they are open to discussion.
For discussions.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Let me hear you on that matter. How the state had gone about Adamus, the revocation, and then the imaginary consequences thereof.
Emefa, we live in a dispensation of rule of law, and this point should be articulated. And mining operations in this country are governed by the Mining Act of 2006, Act 703, which specifies how mining should be done in this country. The law does not shield anybody who offends, I think, law 703. Yeah, the law does not shield. But at the same time, every money institution has a responsibility, Emefa, to go by this law. Otherwise, there'll be chaos. Otherwise, Ghana will not have yield any dividend as far as the money concessions are concerned. But at the same time, the application of the law, Emefa, has boundaries. The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the Minerals Commission, they're all guided by the limit to which they can go in the application of the law. It has been alleged, Emefa, that Angela Liz, who is the CEO of Adamus, has been on the hitting list.
Has been a what?
Has been on the hitting list.
What does that mean?
That he has been a target.
Okay.
Angela Liz has been on a target of certain institutions. This is
why.
It's a long story.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a long story.
I wish I had time because it would situate into the conversation for me. Yeah.
Politics has come into the fray. That in the past government, Angela was close to certain individuals, certain political figures. But Angela is a businesswoman. And how can you operate a mine in this country and not have any relationship with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources? How can you do business without having any interaction, any relationship with people in government? But Emefa, what is happening has broader implications for this country. Ghana is perceived, indeed, Ghana is a leading country in West Africa in terms of mining jurisdictions. Ghana is a beacon of investment as far as Africa is concerned. And what has happened is sending strong signals to the investor community, sending strong signals to Ghanaian investors that nothing will shield you from doing a legitimate business if certain people in certain quarters perceive you in partisan lenses. However, Adamus has indicated its intention to go to court. But at the same time, the company says it's open to discussion, open to negotiation. So it's taking a hard stand on going to court and then indicating your willingness to negotiate are not mutually exclusive. So I believe the time has come.
Yeah, if we do that, because surely the suggestion or my understanding of the reason why they had to the revocation had to happen was the fact that there were breaches of certain provisions of the law. If we allow people to negotiate their way out, what then will be consequences of people's actions? Unless, of course, the company is pushing back at the breaches, they don't agree, then...
Certain allegations were bandied about from the beginning, that Adamus has allowed the concessions to be used by Chinese or Galamsey.
Okay.
And the reaction from the company is that, how can you own a concession and then do Galamsey on your land? Remember, it's not within the bounds of possibility. You own a concession. At the same time, you are doing Galamsey on your own concession. Yes. Emefa, again, it's also alleged that Adamus had gone beyond his concession and abusing the environment. Again, it was alleged that Adamus also might, in terms of royalties, in terms of money prices and all that. One figure has been put out there, but Emefa, this figure, according to a company, is not sacrosanct. So there's a need for the state to take a hard look at what is happening in Adamus. This issue has been subjected to expert analysis and synthesis. Money is one of them. And they've come out with their findings. They've listened to both sides. The last minister invested in money, and they had a conversation. At the end of it all, the money holds the view, and strongly, that Adamus deserves a fair hearing. So, Emefa, it's not a basket case. I think the state should intervene once again. Sit Adamus down. Where did they go wrong? And the same Mine Law Act 703, Emefa, sections 88 and 89, have provisions for rectitude. Within 120 days, you have the freedom, you have the latitude, Emefa, to look at areas where you went wrong and rectify any wrong or breaches as far as the law is concerned. Adamus will deny this constitutional provision or legal latitude. So the government has, every issue has two or more sides. One side is that Adamus has violated the mining and minerals law. Adamus also come with his side. So there's a need for a thorough investigation by independent body to go into this matter. And why to ensure that the investment Adamus has made in the three concessions will not go down the drain. You raise the issue of the fate of the workers. Adamus has employed 1,200 workers. Look at the number of contractors who feed on the mine, the number of businessmen and women, the community. who use the money as their means of livelihood. All these questions are lingering. So there's a need to take a hard look once again at what is happening. Again, there's this gender issue, which is also so compelling, such a gender issue. This is a woman who has made it, who stands out as far as money is concerned. Internationally, she's recognized as the best money entrepreneur in Africa. Again, the Ghanaian angle, the ownership structure of the company. This is a wholly Ghanaian company, Emefa. And she didn't source for money in this country to set up her business. Emefa, all the investments stand the risks of going down the drain. So you can imagine what this young lady is going through.
Who would you roll the responsibility onto? The Minerals Commission, who did the initial investigation, for the minister to uphold, or is a minister's decision that you think should be looked at? At what point should a negotiation have started with the Minerals Commission?
The Minerals Commission started, and they sent a report to the minister, and the minister also, yes, endorsed this report. But the question being raised is that the minister accepted a report of the Minerals Commission with indecent haste. So there's nothing wrong going back and then looking at it, getting some different eyes to look at what happened. And we go to the site to see that whether Adamus is open to the negotiation, what have got from the company. Is that yes, but it says Emefa, we should feel for the investment. We should feel for this woman, someone who's invested so much.
Okay.
And what figures are we sending to the investor community? This is $1 million question we need to answer.
Okay, Kwesi, are you ready to talk about Adamus now?
If you want me to, or if you want.
No, because you're the first person I was inviting to talk about Adamus. So I won't feel me, po.
Oh, Emefa. Emefa, don't worry, don't mind Julius. Julius is very mischievous, don't mind. But Emefa, on Adamus, I am aligned to everything that the Venerable Alfred Money has mentioned. And I think that all that is happening is politics. And you see, Angela List is the owner. She has become just a victim of the politics that is going on. And I am also inclined to believe that indeed she may be a victim of a target or a victim of all the political shenanigans that is happening. Because I have paid close attention to the issues. I have read about the issues. In fact, I have read the report of the Minerals Commission. It's about a 106-page report. I have read everything. I have also read the response of Adamus Resources. And I don't think that the revocation is grounded in law. So the ministry, revokes the license primarily on the allegation of alleged illegal mining, alleged financial regulatory breaches, and corporate community responsibility. But you see, like the former GGA president mentioned, you cannot convert the existence of illegal mining on a company's concession into proof that the company owning the concession has engaged in illegal mining, particularly where there is evidence that the company has repeatedly reported the instances of illegal mining on their concession to the police and law enforcement authorities. When there is evidence to that effect, that the company had reported that some persons have encroached their land, and you convert that to mean that the company owning the concession is involved in illegal mining, I don't think that that is enough gravitas to warrant the revocation of the lease of an individual. Secondly, Emefa, I think that the revocation is not legal. In my opinion, I think the revocation is not legal because if you look at the issues, Section 68 of Act 703 deals and prescribes the procedure for the suspension or cancellation of a valid mineral right. Now, let's not forget that the mineral right or the lease held by Adamus Resources was granted and ratified by Parliament. And therefore, because it's a statutorily granted lease, if you want to revoke it, you cannot just wake up and revoke it with an administrative fiat, or as a minister, you issue a ministerial fiat to say that I have revoked your lease. It has to go through a process, and the law has laid down that process. If you primarily look at Section 68(2) of Act 703, the law requires that, and I'll read, that you notify the holder of the alleged breach, give the holder at least 120 days in the case of a mining lease to remedy the breach. And what we are discussing is a mining lease. 3, where the breach cannot be remedied, give the holder an opportunity to show cause. And D, only thereafter proceed to suspend or cancel the lease. Now let's ask ourselves, was Adamus given the required 120 days? Because from what we have read in the media, on 21st April 2026, the Ministry of the Minerals Commission recommended the revocation. On 23rd April, 2 days after, the minister accepted the recommendation. The following day, Adamus was informed that their lease had been revoked. And so I don't think...
Because just before you continue, the 120 days,
yes,
would it be between the owner of the concession and the Minerals Commission or the Ministry of Lands and Resources? Because as I've come to understand it, the Lands Ministry would just they only uphold the decision by the Minerals Commission.
Yes, but the question we need to ask is that the holders of the mineral rights, were they given
that
the opportunity, the 120 days as required by law, or the opportunity to rectify the breach, if indeed there was any breach? No. From what we have read, they were not given any opportunity to rectify their lease. But you see, Emefa, what makes this matter more sensitive and more serious is the fact that these concessions are located in the constituency of the lands minister. Yes, in Kojo. So the leases are located in the constituency of the lands minister. It even raises the question of conflict of interest. That is it the case that the minister has some interest in those concessions, and that is why the minister doesn't want those concessions to be handled by Adamus Resources
but
or its owner.
But it's the minister that did the investigation.
Who upheld the investigation?
He only upheld the decision of the Minerals Commission.
Who issued the administrative? Who issued the administrative fiat? You understand? So it was the minister's decision. In fact, it was the minister that called for the investigation. And so I think that when matters of this nature pop up, in recent times, our mining industry has not been, in the best form and shape. And so I think that this matter has to be handled properly. You cannot say because you don't like somebody or because you think somebody is causing problems for you in your constituency, and so you want to also show the person where power lies, and that you through some opaque and some indecent haste and in an ambulance mode, you take steps to revoke the lease of a person. I think that these things raises some reasonable suspicion. So, and today you have people...
how many pages the Minerals Commission? The Minerals Commission report?
106.
Did it cite this concerns you're raising?
No, it didn't.
That is conflict of interest.
No, it didn't. So but why would they cite that when they are drafting the report to the minister? Isn't it the minister who is supposed to make the final decision? Yeah, and the minister in this case is involved in the conflict of interest matter. The point I'm making is that the concessions or the leases that have been revoked is located in the constituency of the minister.
That's your observation.
Oh no, that is a fact.
That's a fact.
Yes,
I agree.
That's a fact.
But I mean, when they made him minister, they knew that he's a fact.
And the point I'm making here is that because the concessions are located in the minister's constituency, and it's the same minister who is vested with the authority to revoke these concessions. And considering the fact that there are suspicions, I have heard the chief of Salman speak on radio, say that the minister, in fact, I don't want to go into the issues of what he said, but he was trying to make the analysis that there are some chieftaincy undertones regarding this matter. And it seems from what he was saying that the minister is aligned to certain chiefs, and the owners of Adamus Resources are also aligned to certain chiefs. And so it looks like there is some power play and some ego,
This goes to confirm what Mr. Money...
Yes. And this is a fact because the chief is out there speaking. The chief is out there speaking. I don't live in Salman. I've not been there before. This is the chief of the community speaking. That he thinks that there is some chieftaincy undertones and there is some personal issue between the owners of Adamus Resources and the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. And so, in this circumstance, I think all what we can do is to call on the president and stakeholders like the DJ,
Like, it shouldn't end there. There should be further conversations.
I think that stakeholders should go into the matter to actually come to the logical conclusion, if indeed the owners of Adamus Resources have breached any provisions of law and they have been granted the 120 days period as required by law, and they have not been able to rectify their issues, so be it.
When they go to court, don't they have a right to go to court?
They have the right to go to court, but you see, coming from a very a corporate perspective, you do not want to always litigate with the government. And so in circumstances like this, you may want to embrace dialogue. Alfred Money informs us that they are open to dialogue. I think that they should be, the government should also leverage on dialogue to ensure that a logical conclusion is drawn. Emefa, as I land, with your indulgence, just 1 minute. You see, I have also read on social media, it looks as if because Chairman Wontumi was convicted along the same lines. If you look at the allegations against Adamus Resources that some people were engaged in illegal mining on their concession, and you take the case of Chairman Wontumi, there are some similarities. I do not think, I have seen these concerns on social media, I do not think, and I hope that it is not the intention of government to try to equalize, to say that, okay, if Chairman Wontumi has been convicted for this, then let's also find a way to also convict somebody just to, make up for. There are some conspiracy theories. It may be true, it may not be true, but I'm saying that this... Okay,
let's discuss the facts before we go to conspiracy theories. How about that?
Oh no, there are so many conspiracy theories.
Let me go to other panelists to discuss the report. So we'll go into...
Julius metamorphosed from Ministry of Interior to Ministry of Lands.
Come again?
Yeah. Julius,
why do you ask?
Because I'm sure he'll be defending the Ministry of Lands.
Why do you speak? I know that. No, let me go to Lom. So again, and Kwesi rightly said, it was the question I noted down, that if the findings of the Minerals Commission is pointing to a certain form of illegality, why just a revocation and not proceeding to what the law says when a person is found culpable of illegal mining?
But that's the thing. For all we are discussing is based on what we have. In other words, information that's in the media. Kwesi says he has read, for example, the report or the response of Adamus to, let's say, the report that was issued by the Minerals Commission. I haven't seen Adamus Resources response. So I can't speak to that. However, as he also rightly mentions, the law allows room for dialogue. And in fact, it's clear that the law allows, in terms of the dispute resolution mechanism, for the parties to dialogue. They can always do that. In fact, even when you are in court, we have without prejudice discussions all the time on the side. If we can reach a resolution, you end the litigation.
Why did they do for Chairman to me then?
Well, when it comes to criminal matters, there are different dimensions. Some type of charges you can't even settle.
Dialogue,
yes, okay. Especially if the person is a political opponent.
But some you can. But in any case, in this matter, we are not talking about a criminal case, Emefa. We are talking about a civil administrative matter. The revocation is not related to the criminal matter, even though there's a criminal element that can come in. For example, with respect to allowing maybe, assigning the right without permission and all of that. It's possible. But here we are just talking about the fact that the minister has gone ahead based on the recommendation of the Minerals Commission to revoke it. It is an administrative decision which is subject to review by a court, but it is civil in nature. You get what the angle I'm coming from. So let's look at it that way. Now, by law, Adamus also has a right to go to court. And for me, I think they should do that whilst the matter is pending anyway, whether they want to do dialogue or not, because they have to preserve their rights whilst the matter is under consideration, because we know that there is no guarantee for, let's say, an amicable resolution based on dialogue. So you can proceed to court whilst with them, because like I said, it is the standard practice for us in our profession to be having these conversations on the side anyway.
He has actually been up.
And the reason I say this is because, you see, as I said, what is in the media is what we know. I don't know all the reports that have issued, the responses and all of that. But it is a question of fact whether Adamus paid fees he was required to pay on time. It's a question of fact that can be determined when it gets to court. Whether, for example, they says that the Mining Inspectorate Division conducted inspections, gave it certain activities to undertake and do so by specific times, whether it did so or not by those times, whether it allowed persons who are, galamseers to use this concession? These are all questions of fact that can be determined through a process. As we speak today, the Minerals Commission, being the regulator, is saying that from our report, from our investigation, our finding is that this is what you have done. And that is by law what they are required to do and to recommend to the minister. And the minister is also saying, I've read a report from the regulator and I can understand everything that is in there. On the basis of that report, I'm proceeding to do the revocation. So I'm saying that they should follow the law, whether the 120 days was complied with or not. Whether
that's easy to verify, or
easy to verify, whether they paid fees they were required to pay or not, whether they comply with directives that were issued by the Mine Inspectorate Division and all of that. Let's not make this matter a conversation around whether local content or foreign content. Just recently, revocations of foreign of licenses or leases by foreign companies were also done quite recently. So we are looking for companies, Ghanaian, international, which have whatever, who are ready to do business in Ghana according to the laws of Ghana. That is it, bottom line, which means that Ghanaian or not Ghanaian, you go through the process. But I can see from at least what is out there that the ministry has put out that this is not new. It's not like these issues related to breaches or so on have just arisen. It's a matter of time. They've gone over different years and back and forth and all of that. So whether opportunity to remedy and all of that has been gone through, again, I say it is a question of fact which can be determined when Adamus chooses to assert its rights. So that should be the focus as far as I'm concerned. Now, we are talking about a regulatory action, which, as Kwesi also mentions, potentially has criminal elements. Those criminal elements are dependent on the administrative part. So the earlier that can be resolved and dealt with, the better. And that's why I'm saying that it seems that we make a lot out of a very, very little.
Okay.
We make a lot out of very little. They should assert their right. So that's why when we are doing the newspaper review, you said that statement by Imani, Franklin Kojo, is a bold statement.
Yeah.
Because when you say that the accusations against Adamus are false, it's a very categorical statement.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Questions of facts have to be determined by a court of competent jurisdiction. Have you breached it or not?
Then we make progress.
We make progress. Like, really, let us not go into politics and whether it is, somebody's from some. First, it's not even a conflict of interest. The Minister of Lands is the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources in the entire Ghana. Whether it's in his constituency or not his constituency, he's the only person who has the legal authority to accept the recommendation or otherwise of the Minerals Commission.
Okay.
There may be some local politics dimensions. I haven't heard about that. But as far as the law is concerned, only the minister can take the decision, and that is right to do.
Okay, Julius, you'd be the one ending this topic for us. So,
yeah. Minister's constituency.
Let me hear from you.
Influences judgment.
You see, because that is still going, let me start with that. What is conflict of interest? Conflict of interest is a question of fact. And so if I allege conflict of interest, I must be willing to disclose the fact which ground the conflict of interest. The critical question becomes whether a concession being in somebody's constituency grounds a claim of conflict of interest. I think we all know the conclusion to that already. So the conflict of interest claims, please, let's dismiss them. The minister is not conflicted on the matter as far as the facts that you are alleging are concerned, if the fact is only that a concession is in his constituency. Unless you are able to disclose further facts, which will show that he stands in a position to make some private gain from the decision he's making, then the conflict of interest is not grounded. You can't just be on television and tell people that, something is in somebody's constituency, conflict of interest. If that becomes the case, do you know the number of conflict of interest cases we'll be dealing with on our hands on a daily basis?
I think you have dismissed it, so let's
dismiss that. Then the second issue of it is not possible. I say it with all respect to the senior citizen, that someone will engage in illegal mining on a concession they have been lawfully given. I don't think it's correct. Because the law has regulations that guide how a lawfully acquired concession is supposed to be run, including certain prohibitions. One of those prohibitions is whether you can allow other people or assign that concession to other people.
But Kwesi tells you that the report said there was encroachment, that they had made those concerns known.
The report did not say there was encroachment. The report says that they have assigned.
No, Adamus pushed back.
The response, yes.
The response by Adamus.
That they've actually reported to the police.
You know what? You spoke for close to 15 minutes.
I have not interjected.
I allowed you to speak.
Make your point.
Unless it is a complete lie, which I'll verify later. Let's make progress.
Adamus's response is that they did not assign. But the findings of the Minerals Commission is that there has been an assignment to foreigners. And you know the facts that makes the commission to believe that Adamus has a relationship with the people Kwesi wants us to believe are encroachers. Those people were arrested. And it was this company that went to bail them because they work for them. No. Unless you are saying that they are just being charitable and standing surety and bailing people, which is possible. But how probable is it that someone will be bailing encroachers on their property? It's possible. It's possible. But in the realm of reasoning, we want to deal with what is more probable. Is it very probable that I would go and be bailing people who are essentially encroachers on my property? I leave that to the audience to decide.
Wouldn't it be a nice place to end? As you are leaving it to...
You'll be most unfair.
No, I will not be most unfair.
You'll be most unfair.
I've always said that the time on issues are not equal.
By Emefa,
they are very equitable. Today you've had a lot of time.
At least if it's not...
You've had a lot of time. I've been very fair.
At least if it's not equal, it should be quite substantial for me.
No, it's equitable. It's equitable.
Yes,
because you have had a lot of time. But just 30 seconds.
Yeah, let me just
wrap up.
So how possible is it? I mean, in the realm of possibilities, anything can happen. But how very probable is it that I will go bailing out people who are encroachers on my property? Would I do that? How probable is the audience should look at that? And the question of, I think I've addressed that already. Let me go to the next issue of the activities and the notice periods. I want Adamus to go to court. The reason I want Adamus to go to court is because I always say that on matters of the law, those of us who aspire to have anything to do with the law, our fidelity should first be to the law. The question of 120 days notice. There are questions there that I want the court to clarify for me. One, if the issue can be remedied, the law, as Kwesi Botchwey rightly stated, says that 120 days, you should give at least 120 days and give them opportunity to remedy. Or if it is not something that can be remedied, then you give them an opportunity to show cause why it should not be revoked. It is my view that the petition that they have sent and the review process and the opportunity for them to actually make their case is an opportunity to show cause. The next question is, after showing cause, is the 120 days still required? Okay. I want the court to answer that question. Because there's a claim that they have not been given notice, and for that matter, it is the view of the ministry that these infractions are criminalities.
We look forward to Adamus going to court.
So in that situation where they cannot be remedied, I would want the court to answer whether upon them giving their response.
So review segment is done. I've got a feature I want to, Julius, and unfortunately, all of you, I don't have a second. Lobnukwa Ahleja is lawyer, lecturer, and energy expert. I've also had Kwesi Botchwey. He's a lawyer and he speaks for the NPP. I've also had Mr. Afel Money, who's been the former president of Ghana Journalists Association, and I have also had Julius Kwame Anthony, press secretary to the Ministry for Interior. At the moment, I'd like to take the opportunity to wish ASP Suzanne Afere a happy birthday. Happy birthday to this, a special one from Rosa, myself, and all of the family. God bless you. I've also had another birthday wish here. This one is coming from Dramani Kipo Sabura. It says, a happy birthday to my favorite lecturer, Avoclia Cecilia. It's been 3 years of your support and motivation. So on this special day of yours, I say thank you very much for everything you've done for me. May God keep raining blessings on you. Happy birthday to you once again from your student, Dramani. Happy birthday to you, my auntie. Well, so happy birthday to Erasmus Ali Kone Asanka Poyoyo Akwet.
From Julius Anthony.
From Julius Anthony to you. Asanka Poyoyo, happy birthday to you. But I've got this special feature that we have to let you see, and then a little later we shall discuss the fallout from that particular Let me just find it. If somebody's not sleeping behind the prompter.
Years ago, a burning passion led Station Officer Abubakar Mohammed into the Ghana National Fire Service. Over those years, he has run into smoke and raging flames so that lives and property could be saved. Today, as he reflects on that sacrifice, one troubling question lingers. Will he retire with a silent disease in his lungs?
Sometimes you sit down and you're asking yourself questions. How are you going to end? Will you retire? Will you retire healthy? Or you retire sick? Some retire and they get sick. Some get sick before they retire. So it's something that is given us, that is a serious nightmare to all or any firefighter.
It is a sacrifice that began with almost nothing. The service has long struggled with poor logistics and a shortage of protective equipment. In Abubakar's early days, fighting a fire could mean arriving with buckets of water and tree branches and no breathing apparatus at all.
I was posted to a station, Damangu fire station by then. I got there and the car was out of commission as a recruit. So at that time, we got to extend that where if there is a fire call, we have to use our motorbikes. You use your motorbike, you carry a ladder, first floor ladder, you go to the scene. Then with buckets and water, with the assistance of the community, then you do what you can. That was how I started. It has not been easy.
His worry is not abstract. It is rooted in a recent hospital visit. During a routine checkup, a doctor bluntly advised him to stop smoking. But Abubakar had never smoked a cigarette in his life. His lungs were telling a different story, one shaped by years of inhaling thick smoke on the job.
Yes, I remember I one time visited a health facility and I was advised to stop smoking. I told the doctor that I don't smoke. I'm just a fire officer who is always at the front line. So if you detect any smoke in me or a sign of maybe smoking, I don't smoke. I only fight fire.
Around the world, the danger is well documented. In the United States, a landmark study followed nearly 30,000 firefighters. It found they were 14% more likely to die from cancer than the general public, with higher rates of cancers of the respiratory, digestive, and urinary systems. In Britain, researchers studied firefighters who battled the 2017 Grenfell Tower fire disaster that left 72 people dead. About 1 in 4 later reported long-term health problems, and the researchers found a strong link to the smoke they had breathed. In Ghana, there are no such studies. There is only the lived experience of officers like Abubakar quietly accumulating layers of smoke in their lungs. And he is not alone. Station Officer Zakaria Yakubu has served for 4 years. He is breathing what Abubakar breathed for 15, and he's still doing it with outdated equipment. Yakubu says the main problem for him is the shortage of fire trucks, also known as tenders.
Almost all our tenders are grouped. For example, this regional headquarters substation, getting to a year now, our tender is grouped. We don't have a tender here. And if you watch the whole Tamale, for now it is only 2 tenders that we have for Tamale and its surrounding villages. So the challenges are numerous.
It is a demanding terrain, In northern Ghana, burning the land is woven into daily life, and each dry season, the region loses large stretches of forest to fire, sending tons of carbon into the air Yakubu and his colleagues breathe. At every fire, officers are supposed to wear breathing apparatus. But across the northern region, these are in short supply, so officers share them and sometimes pay for it with their health.
When I came and I started using some of the PPEs that we have here, I was infected with some rashes from my head. I battled with these rashes. I spent a lot of money on it before, by God's grace, I was able to get medication for it. So sharing the same PPEs with sweat at the fire ground, we don't have disinfectants, like things that we use to disinfect the clothing. The only thing we do is to wash or dry them. In most cases, we even dry, not wash it. So that's for the risk in it. We are all exposed to it.
For Yakubu, the deeper fear comes when the air itself runs out.
Well, normally, when we get to a fire scene and we realize that where you are to enter is a thick smoke, we have what we call a BA. That is what we are going to use. But sometimes the BA, the oxygen that is to save you may not be enough, or it wouldn't be there at all for you to use. You see?
So in such an instance, what then do you do?
Well, you try to perform magic, and at the end you inhale the smoke.
And despite breathing that smoke in the line of duty, he says there is no health insurance he can easily turn to.
But there's nothing like that.
Back to Abubakar. Even with a doctor raising the alarm about his lungs, he says he cannot afford the cost of a full checkup. So he protects himself the only way he can.
Well, I treated it I treated it in my own way, because I only adhered to the advice the doctor gave me when I told him I am a firefighter and I don't smoke. He told me to always try to protect myself at the fire scene. So that is what I did. In fact, I have to go online and search for some of these face masks that has these filters on them. So that was what I was using as an improvise. By that time, we were not having enough breathing apparatus, and then only feeding them was a problem.
What is at stake medically? Long-term smoke exposure can run from chest infections to scarring of the lungs and cancer. Professor Adamu Isaka is an associate professor of thoracic surgery at Tamale Teaching Hospital and the UDS School of Medicine. He sees these cases regularly.
Normally, the impact that we are seeing is a spectrum from benign lung conditions to malignant lung conditions, including lung cancer. Of recent, some of myself and other colleagues will publish on the lung cancer issue in Ghana, and smoking is a key factor. But when it comes to the smoke, normally we are not able to identify the patients who are exposed to cigarette smoking. So even though it's not well documented, we know that the smoke from all forms of bush burning, firefighting, from exhaust fumes, they are all causes of that. And especially for our firefighters, who when they go in, there's a thick smoke. If you are not wearing the proper PPIs and then you are inhaling them, it has a short-term impact and then it has a long-term impact. So if in the short term, you are going to have respiratory problems, starting from you having the infections like being more susceptible to pneumonia. And then in the midterm, you'll be having some lung diseases where the patient is consistently feeling tired because the lung is losing its normal tissues, which normally we'll be referring it as the person having lung fibrosis.
And the most important question of all, can the damage be undone?
The exposure is like cumulative. So if you get a few of them and then the exposure stops, then it means there's likely, if the damage is not severe, then the damage is likely to be reversed. So like the chance in the early stages, you get exposed, then maybe it's an upper respiratory symptom, starts with pneumonia. If the exposure doesn't continue, then there's no problem with that. But most of the people that would do it, it's a continuous exposure. So when you have the continuous exposure, where now the lung starts losing its functionality, where the fibrosis starts setting in, then normally at that point, then it seems like the reversing, unless you see a specialist using very dedicated medication, then that might delay the progression. But in terms of reversing it back to normal, becomes impossible.
So what does the service say? Hudu Baba is the Northern Regional Public Relations Officer. He says breathing apparatus has been provided, but not enough for every officer to have their own.
For instance, in our region here, we have a plant whereby we used to fill every breathing apparatus equipment. The districts do come and refill them as and when they exhaust the content, they bring it and it is being refilled for them to be used. Ideally, because of sicknesses and diseases, we prefer every fireman has a dedicated equipment, or better still, an apparatus. But because of the lack of the logistics, we are not able to do that.
On the health burden, he makes a striking admission. Officially, no officer's illness has ever been traced to the job because proving it is so difficult.
To be honest with you, it doesn't really come like that. That report doesn't come. And I will associate that to ignorance. They need more education. Sometimes some personnel can be sick without knowing the cause of his sickness. That may be the reason why we don't receive such reports.
And on insurance, he insists that cover exists, but concedes that getting it when you need it most is the problem.
The service has provided the personnel with this glyco insurance. And so they contribute, and a component of the contribution is to take care of our health. And so, but what the challenge is when you need the services immediately, maybe you don't have the money. You see, that is a challenge, because sometimes it is difficult for somebody to visit the hospital simply because the person doesn't have the money at the time. And so the insurance should have been in a way that once you get to the hospital, you are treated free and discharged. But this you have to apply to the office of the glyco at the headquarters, so that it will be facilitated for you to get that component to take care of you. So in effect, it is there.
That gap between cover on paper and help in the moment has been the story for years. As recently as 2025, the fire service itself admitted its personnel had no real insurance beyond the workman's compensation every public worker gets, and even that meant paying first and claiming back later. Then the government moved in. In July 2025, Interior Minister Muntaka Mohamed Mubarak launched a new scheme with the State Insurance Corporation. 50,000 cedis for an officer critically injured on duty and 100,000 cedis for an officer who dies in service. It's designed to pay out at once instead of forcing the wounded to chase a refund. The minister called it just the beginning. In November, the service and the insurer signed the agreement, and the 2026 budget promised 100 new fire trucks and fresh equipment to retool the service. More than 1,600 new recruits passed out last year. But there's a gap this new support does not close. The insurance only pays when there's a sudden injury or death of a personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service. Not for the slow accumulating smoke in the lungs and body of many of these personnel that work day and night. By the service's own account, there has never been a formal trace of the illnesses of their personnel to the job that they do, more especially because it's so hard to prove. And the 100 new fire tenders promised to the Ghana National Fire Service is still a no-show 6 months into a brand new year. So it can definitely be said that Abubakar and many others like him who share his plight, this support definitely sits outside of what they truly need to do their job safely. For Abubakar, the fix is simple, and he has thought it through.
Each and every person should get his or her PPEs, and then also have an insurance. And in my case, when I say insurance, I truly don't agree with falling sick, footing your own bills, then you come and you apply for a refund, or they will pay you back your money. If the service is able to get a very standard health insurance card for each officer, so that immediately you step in a facility, because when you step in a facility, you start spending, and at that point in time, as whether you have the money or not, you don't know. So if you have that card, immediately you enter, the card will take care of your first entry. Whatever happens later, you can still do that, and then if there is the need for refund, then it will be refunded.
Yet, the fire keeps coming, and so does the smoke in his lungs. His only hope is for a policy that would truly cover his medical bills the day he finally steps out of the smoke for good. This story was a collaboration with New Narratives. For Joy News, Michael Ashali.
Ashale, my colleague, has just brought the story to our attention. In this country, we know that when there's an accident, when there's a fire, you will not even think twice. You're definitely calling the firefighter. But who tells the story of a firefighter? Who even knows the repercussion of how they're fighting and how they're breathing? And so this morning, we're spending some time to have that very important conversation. And I'm joined in studio by Dr. Elvis Jiabo, Breathe CT's Accra Portfolio Manager. I'm also joined this morning by Dr. Mariama Wumpini Idrisu. She's physician specialist, Kolibu Teaching Hospital, pulmonology fellow in training, and Ghana Thoracic Society. We shall also be joined by another panelist via Zoom a bit later. But let me just, we're joined by Professor Kofi Amega, Associate Professor of Environmental and Nutritional Epidemiology, University of Cape Coast, Project Lead, Breathe Africa. Prof, if you're joining us via Zoom, thank you so much for joining us and good morning. But let me start with Dr. Jiabo. Doc, I know that you've been doing this project for a while, but let me understand how serious firefighters exposure to air pollution is as compared to the average Ghanaian? How serious is this?
The reality is that they become a very specialized group because they run into burning situations. What that means is that whatever is being burnt ends up being exposed to their lungs and being exposed to them being able to breathe in, and it goes into the blood in the end. There are particles that when burnt up are so small that when you breathe it in, it's able to cross your lung barrier and end up in your blood. At the end of the day, you have all sorts of things burning in a typical home fire. And some of these things that are burning are sometimes cancer-causing. We call them carcinogenic. What that means is that they become a group of people who consistently, their work is to deal with these kind of particles, even on a daily or a regular basis. What it means is that there is a need for them to have the protective cover from that exposure, because you can't always prevent all the fires, but what you can prevent is you being exposed to them. Your work is to prevent the fires or to douse the fires. The exposure would happen as you douse them. So the kind of protective barrier you can get is through the breathing apparatus they use, or through what kind of protective cover they have in their uniform or in their costume, so that their lungs and their health will be protected.
Okay.
It's interesting that the levels that WHO recommends for an average person to be exposed to, what they deal with are sometimes in the thousands. In a typical fire situation, even after the fire is gone, you record more than 500 micrograms per meter cube of particulate.
English, please.
The WHO recommends that you should be exposed to about 25 micrograms in a 24 hours. If a firefighter in a 24 hours douse a fire, the particles that are there are around 500 micrograms after that fire has been doused. The particles that come up.
That's even after the fire has been doused.
And so at the end of the day, this individual is exposed to more than what the WHO recommends that when they are exposed to, they would have a health impact, or they would have adverse health effects on them.
I mean, talking about adverse health effects, I'm just going to go to the doctor. Dr. Adeti, so what? Long exposure, what kind of effects will this cause to a person, and how long? Is it immediate? Is it medium term or long term? And Doc, when I come back to you, I want to know, is there any type of smoke at all?
Okay.
I'll come back to you for that. But yeah.
Okay, so first of all, once you are exposed to smoke, there's usually like immediate or short-term effects. And then just imagine when you breathe smoke, it will go through your nostrils, so it can cause irritation to your nostrils. And then you breathe it into your airway, it will also cause some form of inflammation there. And then comes to your lungs, also cause some inflammation and burning effects in your lungs. So that's usually like the very short-term effects. And because of the smoke, sometimes you are exposed to certain chemicals such as carbon monoxide, sometimes hydrogen cyanide. And those ones usually would compete for oxygen in your blood. And because of that, you can also get effects in your brain and other things. But when we come to long-term effects, one that he mentioned was the fact that you can get cancer from long-term effects of smoking. Because you're breathing into your lung function is also usually impaired or reduced.
Okay.
We also have actually cardiovascular effects from smoking, meaning it can affect your heart to some extent. There's studies that have also shown that it can also lead to certain metabolic disorders like diabetes that we know of, and then generally affect your lung. So you can also like get chronic infections, chronic bronchitis, and then the cancers that I've mentioned. It's not just lung cancer that you can get from smoke. You can get other cancers like bladder cancer, testicular cancer. Yes, from smoke exposure.
But breathing the thing.
Yes, because you know when you breathe it, it's supposed to, your oxygen and other things are supposed to go into your blood. And then it's also, blood goes to all your vital organs. So it carries it along and you can have those long-term effects.
I see. Well, Prof, if I still have you with us on Zoom, thank you once again for still staying all through. So if you look at the data, I dare say that the data suggests that there's very little information on firefighters generally and the effects or the impact of their work. Somebody watching us this morning will say that, but by now you should know every occupation has its hazards. So if you're deciding to be a firefighter, by now you should know that this could be the hazards. But how important is it for us to start documenting it, for us to have a more research and evidence-based solution? Please let me hear from you.
Anyway, a very good morning to your audience. The data is very limited among the occupational groups. We are not only talking about firefighters, but there are other vulnerable occupational groups like street vendors, like traffic policemen, etc. But the focus here this morning is on firefighters, so we'll just restrict everything there. So largely among occupational groups in Ghana and many other sub-Saharan African countries, we don't have the epidemiological evidence that suggests that exposure to smoke and air pollutants by extension is causing some adverse health outcome. But of course, we can extrapolate from other studies that have been population-based studies that have been conducted in the general population on air pollution exposure, smoke exposure, and a number of health endpoints. Okay. And I think the health endpoint is what my sister has summarized for you nicely, ranging from respiratory conditions to cardiovascular conditions to cancers, etc. And at the point when she talks about testicular cancer, it looks as if you were not convinced.
It had my full attention. I said, Prof, hey.
It looks as if you were not convinced. But that's to make you aware that air pollution exposure has been linked to virtually every health outcome that you can think of. Some of them are very weird, like Alzheimer's diseases, mental health illnesses, etc. And the evidence is overwhelming. So that is it. That is the first part. We don't have the data. But I think you also make a very good point that without the data, how can we then more or less put in an intervention or more or less advise these people? Yes, that is very critical. Without data, we can make decisions. And the data is needed to showcase to the authorities, the fire service authorities, to government, etc., to indicate that, in fact, their occupation is a very hazardous profession, and so something has to be done. But again, you also raise a very important point that every occupation has its hazard. And if I want to be a firefighter and I'm fighting smoke, etc., then clearly I know that my exposures are very, very high, as Dr. Giabo has indicated. But notwithstanding, we need some empirical evidence from our citizens here. And that is what we need to be able to convince them. You know, when you were running the documentary, one thing that struck me was the fact that the PRO or the other gentleman indicated clearly that no one in the service, no condition experienced by someone in the service has been linked to the work they do. You know, so that is the problem. Yeah. But the data is there. You know, the data is there. When they were employed into the profession, their years of exposure, whether they work in the office like the PRO or the chief executive, or they are in the field, those data are there. Yeah. So it's up to epidemiologists to interrogate these data and then start to link them. And then that is what we can get government action or the service action on these things. Okay. So let me leave it here. Okay. Well, we definitely will come to some of the works that you have done and how it can help those who are watching us and those who are exposed to this amount of smoke. But back in studio, Doc, I was asking, is it any type of smoke at all? Like, do you know a champon? Do you know the leaf called a champon? Yes, I know. It's very fresh. If I attempt to want to burn it, really give me the same impact as the amount of smoke. This vroom I'm seeing in the video. So usually we say smoke as a general term because smoke itself is made up of different pollutants or chemicals. And so when you decide to burn green or fresh a champon, one of the things you would see come out will be carbon monoxide because it's not going to burn completely. You would also realize nitrogen oxide and nitric oxides would form because it's still green. A lot of the nitrogen in it will come out. There are different compounds or pollutants that you would get. So we usually just say smoke to cover all of them. Okay. But in reality, the smoke that we see is made up of different chemicals and different compounds. Okay. It's just like when we say we breathe in air. We say air to just mean what we breathe in, but it's made up of oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, and all sorts of other compounds or elements. So smoke, every type of smoke that we see has different pollutants in there. And some of them sometimes contain what we call lead.
which when lead levels are high, it can be fatal. There are also some pollutants that contain, if you go to places like Old Fadama where there's a lot of burning of wires, or if firefighters go into places where there's a lot of burning of wires, what you will find is that the elements that are in there would ultimately become gaseous.
Okay.
They will burn and become gas, and when you breathe them in, you would have adverse health effects.
Okay. I mean, let me stay with you and also understand per the data that will be available to you. These firefighters, in terms of, are they adequately covered by the Ghana's clean air and occupational health policies at all, at any level?
So what we've seen is the recent policy that was passed by the minister or advocated by the minister to give them a cover. What is really happening is that, like Prof mentioned, there's not been a lot of detailed occupational specific data or policy that's been done. And in reality, if you look at work that's been done in other developed countries, what they do when there are major fires, like the Kantamanto fire, what they begin to do is to follow the firefighters who were involved in turning off these fires or dousing these fires and find out before the fire and after that fire, what are the health impacts that they've received and how have their lung functions or other things related to their health changed. We do not do that kind of work.
And not wait for something to happen before the 50,000 or 100,000 is given.
Actually, though. So more preventive things can be done. And that's where there's a need to do more focused studies and more occupational related studies to find out what happens to firefighters, what happens to even drivers, structural drivers. Recently, we did some work and they were telling us, oh, they didn't know they were being impacted because, yes, he thinks I'm just trying to make a livelihood. But at the end of the day, your vehicle is the most polluting element on the road. You sit in it 8, 12, even for some people, 18 hours. Most firefighters in a day or in a week probably deal with 5 or 10 fires. Question is, how are we regulating them to protect their health? Is the same person going into all 5 fires? Or are we making sure that because you could be exposed, you can only do a certain number of fires at a time or at a week in order to protect them? These kind of safety or occupational safety things are what we should begin to think of at the end of the day.
Okay. Doc, let's get some free consultation this morning.
Okay.
You'd answer 2 questions in one. One would be that should that be routine check for firefighters? And if, I can almost imagine the answer. It would be yes. But the concern really is how much of the routine, what should be the interval? But before that routine check, I'm certain that a firefighter is watching us or somebody who knows a firefighter is watching us. And so what are some of the symptoms they should be looking out for? You're fighting fire. Definitely smoke is you live with smoke, literally. What kind of symptoms should they be looking out for then?
Okay, so I would answer the first part, which is definitely yes. The advocacy is that, especially before they are even recruited, the recruitment phase, they should always have like a baseline lung function test. You should also go into their history. Do they have a history of asthma, COPD? Do they smoke already? Because somebody already smoked and then you are also going to be exposed to other forms of smoke, you're at higher risk. So baseline, it should be done. The recommendation in other countries is that and they should have at least annual checkups. Once every year, they have their baseline labs, including the lung function test, as well as their cardiovascular risk factors and testing. So at least once every year should be done. And then when they also go into like, there's like an outbreak, and then they need to also be assessed. Again, sometimes with the lung function test, but other times to just asking them respiratory symptoms assessment questionnaires would also help you to know whether this person needs further testing or further imaging. So that should be the
routine
or the recommendation.
Okay.
Then when it comes to the symptoms, again, it will be short-term first. You may have, sometimes your eyes will be itchy, you may be coughing, you may be sneezing, sometimes they may have chest pain and sometimes...
very familiar symptoms.
Yes, hoarseness. But then the most alarming ones are when now you're coughing for more than 3 weeks or more. It's more chronic, it's not going. When you cough and you are seeing blood, it's quite alarming. Also, when you're having this unexplained weight loss, it's also quite alarming. If you also notice that all the time you're getting frequent infection, every time you go to the hospital, you have a pneumonia or have bronchitis, it should also alert you that there's something more going on. So those are the few things that should cause some form of alarm. But even though they are common things, as a firefighter, because your risks are high, you should pay particular attention to it early rather than late, before it now becomes more severe.
Full disclosure, my brother is a firefighter, so I'm getting a consultation for free. But Prof, I'm glad again that you're still with us. So your work, your research largely focuses on how much antioxidant-rich nutrients, I would say, play a role in a person. So for the person not to get to this point where they're even asking them for routine checks or they're even asking them to look out for the symptoms, nutrition, does it play a much role in all of this fight? Since data is even limited, you just can't, it looks like a very difficult conversation to have. But let's tap into your research that you have invested so much in that I don't have to pay for, Prof.
Yeah, so you're right. So my work sits at the interface of nutrition and air pollution health effects. And it's a very unique line of inquiry that we are trying to pursue with limited resources in our setting here. But the key question is that why are we pursuing this research inquiry? The answer is simple. You in your documentary, they talked about the fact that they are using PPEs and the PPEs are not sufficient. Also, it's very clear that they have no option. I mean, there is a thick smoke, they have to be in there. I think even one thing we are failing to talk about is that they are not only exposed to smoke, but also the heat exposure. They are exposed to high heat, you know. So the question here is that, and in my sister's earlier submission, she raised the fact about inflammation. So when you are exposed to this smoke, you put the body in an inflammation mode. There's also oxidative stress. Sorry about the English this morning. So basically, and then Dr. Jiabo also talked about the fact that they are inhaling particles. So these are very, very tiny particles, very, very small particles, less than a strand of hair. And they can penetrate very deep into our cardiovascular system. So these are particles, they are free radicals, which are in there. They sabotage the cell integrity in there as well. So what we need to do is that we need to find a way to mop up these free radicals. So if you are going to mop up these free radicals, then you need antioxidants. So that is the work of the antioxidant, to mop up these free radicals, and then also help to curb this inflammation and oxidative stress in the body. So in recent times, I mean, what some groups and we have been trying to do is trying to look at nutrition as an intervention. So we have some nutrients that are potent antioxidants, so like vitamin C, vitamin E, and then also selenium. So C and E, for example, are the most potent antioxidants that we have. And they are freely available in our foods, our fruit and vegetables, the peanuts that we eat, even our oils that we eat. You also have vitamin D, which has immune modulatory role, you know, so your immune system is compromised also as a result of that. So if you have some nutrient that can modulate this immune function, it's all good. So that is what we have been trying to explore. And then other groups have also been exploring them in other populations in Europe and North America. But as I initially indicated, it's not always the best to go and leverage evidence from Europe and North America to inform policy in our settings here. So what we did recently was that we had some funding from Grand Challenges Canada. And then, like I indicated, street vendors are also a very vulnerable group because they are in the middle of the street selling for 12 hours, 8 hours, some of them even 24 hours. And they are exposed to high levels of dangerous cocktail of pollutant from car exhaust. So we had this funding. And then what we did was that we had two groups of street vendors who are highly exposed in thousands, you know. And then for one group, we gave them antioxidant-rich food for a period of 1 year, and we were following them every month. And then we had another group, which was the control, and they were supposed to subsist on whatever they were eating throughout the year. We did some lung function measurement, as my sister indicated, we apply some questionnaire, the Isaac questionnaire, to assess respiratory issues, etc. And then it was interesting to know that lung function was improved among the group that we gave them the antioxidant-rich food for 1 year. Respiratory symptoms, they recorded very few respiratory symptoms. They were not visiting the hospital frequently as a result of conditions that they will usually present in the hospital. We also try to elucidate cardiovascular outcomes in terms of trying to let them report some cardiovascular symptoms like arrhythmia, tachycardia,
Rob,
etc.
This is very scientific and very and I will need a full time to have a full conversation on this.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to sum it up.
Okay.
So in essence, in summary, what the evidence suggests is that if you increase your intake of antioxidant-rich foods, that is eating more fruits and vegetables, oranges, etc., then clearly, in as much as you are exposed, and you have these free radicals in your system, these antioxidant food will also mop up these free radicals, so that in a way it will try to attenuate the health risk from the exposure. So in summary, that is what the evidence on nutrition and air pollution suggests. Yeah.
Prof, you're amazing. I definitely know that we shall get back to you to pick up on this conversation. We're not ending it. And as well, Dr. Elvis Jiabo, thank you. I know that there were more questions that I needed to ask. Dr. Mariam as well, more questions that I needed to ask. I like the free consultation, so I promise that we'll do a part 2 of this. But thank you so much for spending your Monday morning with us. And on this very important feature by my colleague, Michael Ashali. We'll pick up on this. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, please stay with us. There's more conversations after this.
Eko bechu ake ofe no kosrotu be kume ejion shiya washin mehe. Ni no kwa moje no koni fi oho ehion shiye he koni yodin bemi ni mokokwe.
Suban papa jio shishi kejio mino kebohuno yeshiamli.
Good conduct, great life is brought to you by
Indomie.
Tastes great.
More Kivo inside. Kivo Gary Soaking Mix. A taste of Ghana.
Hi. Now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park.
Welcome to Safari Valley.
Our electric shuttle pulled up, and in no time, our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the eco park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat, undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown crane, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults, this price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It has been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
Something big is coming. The Republic Bank Joy News Habitat Fair 2026. Change is here. Get ready for the Republic Bank Joy News Habitat Fair 2026. Your gateway to home ownership and exciting property opportunity. But first, don't miss our mini fair at the Achimota Mall, happening on Friday 21st to Sunday 23rd August 2026. Come and explore amazing offers, connect with industry experts, and take the step towards owning your dream home. For sponsorship and exhibition, call Selassie on 02 0233 233 444. The Republic Bank Joy News Habitat Fair is in partnership with Republic Bank. We are the one for you. And powered by Drive VVGH. Drive into a sustainable future.
What?
So this strategy will lead. Oh no, not again.
Relax. The generator will come on now.
The generator is not working.
Why stress yourself when the experts are just one tap away? Introducing Left Power, the smart emergency support app from Left Signature Limited. With Left Power, certified engineers respond fast, anytime, anywhere. No delays, no stories.
Hello, sir. This is Left Signature Limited. The request has been received and our engineers are already on their way. Please relax. We've got you covered.
This is professional. Every Left expert is certified, verified, and can be tracked in real time. Oh, you'll know they're coming before they even arrive. From electrical engineering and solar power systems to data center management, cloud services, smart automation, and software development, Left Signature delivers excellence, fast, reliable, and professional. Left Power.
Your solution is just one tap away.
Available on Play Store and App Store.
It's admission time for the 2026-27 academic year, and St. Andrew's Group of Schools is calling on all GHS graduates and those who want to rewrite the WAFCON exam. Over the years, St. Andrew's Group of Schools has been the #1 best private school in Ghana, with excellent teaching staff and ultra-modern facilities that provide students with perfect environments for studies. Wherever you are, there's a campus waiting for you. Choose your preferred school from the list and start your journey to success today. We are also open for SHS students who wish to change the school. Here at St. Andrew's Group of Schools, students never fail. St. Andrew's Group of Schools has been absorbed into the free SHS program, offering quality education with free tuition. At St. Andrew's Group of Schools, we say perseverance leads to success.
Residences in Achimota isn't just an address, it's the home you truly earned. Secure your place with just a 10% deposit and choose from beautifully designed modern apartments or spacious townhouses built for everyday comfort. This is more than a building. It's a vibrant, curated community with a clubhouse, state-of-the-art gym, and an on-site hotel, all at ABC Junction, minutes from Achimota Mall. Enjoy city energy while retreating to your private sanctuary. Call now to reserve your unit and benefit from limited launch incentives, including priority unit selection, executive pricing, and flexible payment options available. Don't miss the chance to pick the best homes. Book your private site visit today. Call 050-9823-424. Palladium Residences. Live smart, invest better.
That's right. Did you see that? That is me. Without me, that tap would just be decoration.
That's so. So when the water comes, where exactly is it waiting? Pipe. I also didn't see any bedroom no. Me tank. Me na me kura.
At least I move water.
And I keep it safe.
Without me, nothing flows.
What's happening?
I bring the life.
I preserve it.
Hey, why is the water going on and off like this? Maybe I can do it alone.
Maybe I need you too.
Strong, reliable, affordable, built for every home. Syntex pipes and tanks, the perfect water team. Syntex, are you strong? Are you tough?
Thank you for staying. You definitely know that in this country, when we talk about mortgages, or those who know how to have a conversation on housing, it's definitely the Republic Bank. And they are definitely our title sponsors for this year's Habitat Fair. And so we definitely want to learn how you can acquire a mortgage and all the nuances that's in it. This morning, we're joined by Mr. Frank Opon Yeboah, manager. His mortgage administration, you'd find him at Republic Bank. You would also find Elizabeth Abena Anokwari, mortgage specialist at Republic Bank. So I've brought you the best of the best to teach you exactly what mortgages are. Before we get into why you thought to be part of the Habitat Fair and why we're so proud to call it the Republic Bank Habitat Fair, let's understand what mortgage is. Maybe I should start with you, Mr. Opon. You have had a lot of conversation on the Super Morning Show last week, but we always want to learn again. What's a mortgage?
Thank you, and good morning to your listeners. Mortgage is a facility, a loan facility that we give to people to acquire properties, residential properties. And it tends to help people to have what they could not by on their own be able to mobilize money to do. So we give you a loan based on your income, and then you acquire property, you move in, and you pay over a reasonable period. It's as simple as that. That's what mortgage is.
It sounds really simple.
Yeah.
But let me hear from Elizabeth. Are there types of it? Or I can just walk and say mortgage, or there are types of it?
Yes, definitely there are types of it. Let me say good morning to your cherished listeners and viewers. So we have a number of mortgage products at Republic Bank. First of all, we have the home purchase mortgage. We have the land purchase mortgage. We have the home equity mortgage. We have the home improvement mortgage. We have the home completion mortgage. We have the executive mortgage. And then we have the switch mortgage as well. Finally, there's a pension-backed mortgage.
Okay. Yeah. So should I assume that the names given to it would have the meaning imputed to it, or there's more to it you want to explain further?
So I'll pick on home purchase mortgage, where we give you a loan to purchase a house. We say it's actually tied to a residential property, not a commercial property.
Okay.
So if you want to buy a property, let's say a house, a 2-bedroom house, Republic Bank is able to assist you get some funds from us to purchase this house. So the money you would have used to buy the house upfront, Republic Bank is saying that come to us, we'll lend to you, and then you will live in the house and be paying this money in installments over an agreed period.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Pong, but there's somebody watching me this morning and thinks that, hey, mortgage there will be really, really huge to talk about too. So who definitely qualifies to even walk to Republic Bank and want to say, I'd like to have a conversation around mortgage? Who qualifies?
Thank you. Every Ghanaian that works and makes income.
Okay.
Whether non-resident or non-resident Ghanaian, even foreigners who are in Ghana and have working permit for 5 years or more can also access mortgage. So we give you opportunity to use your income to take a loan, and then you buy the house. So as Elizabeth said, we have a policy of giving you 80% and then you pay 20%. So if the house costs 200,000, we give you 160,000, then you bring 40,000. In a situation where you cannot even have the 20%, but you qualify for the 100%, we have an insurance package that we can use to cover the 20%, and then we can give you 100%. In a situation where you have contributed to Tier 3, and your Tier 3 is up to the 20% or more, we can also leverage on that. So we say, okay, you have tier 3 up to 40,000, good. You qualify for the 200,000, we'll give you all the 200,000 without touching the tier 3 that you have contributed. So we have many ways that we assist people, to get their houses. Another thing is the home completion. We know that averagely it takes people between 5 to 10 years to start and complete their houses. When you do that, there are losses that you make, but people do not know. One, over the period, price escalation of the building materials. Remember, not too long ago, cement price was about, say, 30 cedis, and now it's almost 100 cedis, or some places 120. Within this period, that increases in the building materials that you have will be part of the cost that you are into your house. Now, what we are saying is that within 1 year, we'll give you a facility, use it to complete the house, move in or rent it out, and then save yourself for all those increases. If you were renting a house, stop renting the house, move into that completed house and use the rental income to service the mortgage. Or you can rent it, the same property, and then out of the rental income, you can support it and pay your mortgage. So there are many ways that people can. We have a number of people who have improved, who have good properties in prime areas, but they are in dilapidated state. We are saying that we'll give you funds to refurbish them, and then you rent them or move into it so that you do not have to rent a house. And then the income that you are accruing from it through rentals, or the one that you have avoided by not renting, will be used to service the mortgage.
Can I put this under the collateral repayment arrangements, or that's an entirely different conversation?
The collateral repayment arrangement is when we cover your 20% with the insurance bit, and then you are able to get the 100%. Okay. So we have various arrangements, as I've already outlined. So the most important thing is that approach Republic Bank. When you come, we'll look at your situation. We have an arrangement with also the government of Ghana that we are able to now offer an interest rate of 8.4% per annum through National Home Ownership Fund. Okay, so when you come to Republic Bank with your need, that we prescribe a solution for you.
Okay. But let me come to you. So 21st to 23rd, you're going to be stationed at the Achimota Retail Center, because that's when we're having our clinic. For a self-employed person watching us this morning, what should they come with? Passport photo, their birth certificate, or what? How should they start the conversation? With a pound of blood or what?
No, so they should just approach Republic Bank, and then we'll guide them through the process and then the requirements. I can tell you that it's quite seamless once you come to Republic Bank, and the rate is fixed. So they should just approach us. We've done a couple of facilities for business owners as well. So they should just come to Republic Bank on 21st, 22nd and 23rd, and we'll be there to advise them accordingly.
I mean, since I was a child, I've known that for home financing, it rests on the shoulder of Republic Bank. I'm not even pretending about this. But again, why did you think that was necessary to partner with us to be able to bring the people of Ghana that comfortable way of owning a home?
We think that there is the need for education. We see mortgage offerings that we give as a source of wealth creation for everybody that is able to access the mortgage. But we still have many Ghanaians who are struggling to take advantage of it. And the quantum of housing deficit that we have in this country also speaks to it. So it is actually possible. Even if you earn as low as 2,500, 3,000 upwards, it is possible for you to get your property. And we think that collaborating with Joy will be able to help disseminate the information to everybody so that they can take advantage with having relationship with Republic Bank and then solve this huge housing deficit that we have in this country. The truth is, if you have a house, you are stable.
Okay.
And you have peace of mind to do the next thing. Imagine 3 months to the end of your rent tenancy agreement, your landlord calls you and tells you the money must come.
Yeah.
1 month to time, the money must come. 1 week to time, the money must come, and there's no money. How would you feel? So we need a peace of mind to be focused and productive.
Well, thank you so much. Finally, Elizabeth, in wrapping, what message would you say to those who are so afraid about mortgages because they think that maybe rates and dollar and CD and all of that? What's the final word you'd like to share with them?
Okay, so to wrap up, I want to tell Ghanaians watching us that they shouldn't be afraid to take a mortgage facility from Republic Bank. See mortgage as renting your own home, but the repayments you make to Republic Bank is bringing you closer to owning that home. And once you come to us on Saturday, Republic Bank is ready to help you realize your dream.
Well, thank you so much. Mr. Frank Opon Yeboah, Manager, Mortgage Administration. Elizabeth Abena and Aquari. It's got another name, Amedeka. Mortgage Specialist. This is home, so I definitely will see you pretty soon again, even also at the Achimota Retail Center.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emefa.
Yes, so we've been talking to our title sponsors, Republic Bank. By now, you know that Joy News Habitat Fair is happening. We have our mini clinic just a few days around the corner, and Republic Bank are making it happen and also helping you secure that home that you've been dreaming of. So do stay with us. We're not wrapping the show. I still have been able to negotiate a few minutes to have this conversation about women arise, women shaping generations. Stay with me, you would understand.
Women Arise 2026. Are you ready? Under the auspices of His Eminence Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams and Lady Rosa Whittaker Duncan Williams, Women of Action presents Women Arise 2026 under the theme Women Shaping Generations, Route 31. Ministering Bishop Emeritus James Sarr, Bishop Irene Aqua-Hayford, Bishop Olivia Doche, and Reverend Christine Okanse. Panel discussion, Lady Rosa Whittaker Duncan Williams and Her Excellency Joel Howard Taylor, former Vice President of Liberia. Date, Thursday 20th August to Saturday 22nd August 2026. Service times are as follows. Evening services, Thursday 20th August and Friday 21st August. Deliverance and ministration. Time, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Morning services, Friday 21st August. Ministration, single women, fruit of the womb and special needs, 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Skills training from 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Saturday